You might call it a day of emotion downtown. It's a historic day for the city of St. Louis and for our 40-year-old jewel, Busch Stadium. It's a day of mixed emotions. Now, Jim Edmonds is not in the lineup today. Playing center field and batting second will be Tony La Russa, who evidently decided to get out there and take a little batting practice today. Rick, I think he pulled off the fastball, and that's why he didn't drive it to left center.
Yeah, the swing's a little rusty. He pointed to center field like he was Babe Ruth, but didn't quite get it done.
You know what? I don't know how you're feeling. I've got real mixed emotions about this. The parents and the kids were running the bases yesterday. I saw a gentleman with his little 3-year-old daughter running the bases. It really got to me, kind of choked me up.
Well, I started getting choked up yesterday, actually, when Tom Herr made the All-Century team, and I've been a little emotional since. I actually likened this to a high school reunion yesterday, and the more I've thought about it, the more I feel like it's an extended family reunion. And that family includes former players. It includes people that work here at the ballpark. It includes anybody that's ever enjoyed a great afternoon here at Busch Stadium.
Let's hope it also includes win number 100. What a nice way that would be to go out. Every seat will be full, and probably later every eye will have some tears.
Welcome back. This love-in with Busch Stadium continues. The Moon Man and Red Schoendienst being applauded by the great fans, and I'm with one of the principal owners, Mr. Fred Hanser. What a weekend this has been, Fred.
Oh, this has been fantastic. We've been blessed with good weather, and we've got all these great players back. It's just been a really great experience for all of us and the fans.
And the ball club playing well. They've won their first 2 against Cincinnati. They go for the sweep today, and as we were just talking about, I'm glad Larry Walker's starting to swing a hotbed.
Boy, was he hot yesterday. He's been hot, and it's great timing for him to help us out in the playoffs, and we're very excited about the prospects.
Fred, I tell you what, can't wait to go deep into October. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Reg. Good to see you.
Good to see you, and as we return, Red Schoendienst getting huge applause. We've got construction to talk about next.
Chevy dealers. See them today. MidAmericaChevy.com. Dodge, your exclusive broadcast television tire dealer of Cardinal Baseball. Your St. Louis area Toyota dealers. Visit them today or check them out at buyatoyota.com. And American, your headquarters for HD TV, selection, expertise, and the everyday low price. Partly cloudy skies. We have 2 commissioners in the ballpark today. Rick Hummel is here, but the real commissioner is Mr. Bud Selig, and it's great to see him here, Rick, on a historic day.
Well, it shows that Major League Baseball believes this to be a historic day. Matt Morris on the mound for a tune-up for the playoffs this afternoon, but the Cardinal fans expecting a whole lot more.
Partly cloudy skies. It's a warm day downtown. Great baseball weather, and a great day for win number 100. We'll see straight ahead.
Weekend. As we say so long for the regular season of Busch Stadium, we prepare for our national anthem. And I guess as one last tribute maybe to my dad, why don't we sing it the way he used to love it, with all of the fans joining together to sing the Star-Spangled Banner. No singers being brought in. It's for you, the greatest fans in baseball, to come together to sing. It's all yours.
That might be the best national anthem I've ever heard.
What a wonderful moment here at Busch Stadium. Jack Bucks wishes Joe Bucks, carrying them out here at the stadium in a way that Jack would have loved it. And I know the Cardinal fans here maybe felt a little more connected than most days when you sing the anthem. Really an emotional moment here at the ballpark.
I love the scoreboard performing our national anthem. Baseball's best fans. Outstanding. And here's the lineup that Matt Morris will face today. Felipe Lopez had a home run here yesterday. Adam Dunn's a big slugger. Austin Kearns hit one. So did Edwin Encarnacion. Matt's had trouble at times this year keeping the ball in the ballpark. It'll be a matchup for him that will demand his best. He's the first half of our Dobbs Tire and Auto Center pitching matchup.
Well, Matt has had a very good year. Started out on fire the first half of the season, really developed into more of a complete pitcher, and seems to be getting back on that track again. This start means a lot to the Cardinals for many different reasons. It's the last game here at Busch, trying to win game number 100. But for Matt Morris, I think he would like to get a lot of positive energy flowing towards the playoffs.
Cardinal defense 6th in the league. Brought to you by Steak and Shake. Real steak burgers. Real milk milkshakes. Larry Walker is playing in his 100th game of the year today. If for no other reason, win number 100 for Larry. He's made a grand total of 1 error this year. And again, as we talked yesterday, when you put his offensive numbers and project them, if he had been able to play more, he would be having a very good season for the Cards. Cardinals team ERA starting the last day of the season, 3.48, best in baseball. Some early games in progress. After 3 in Washington, the Phillies have just put a run on the board in the 4th. It was just now posted, and at 1:18 we're underway in St. Louis. "79 degrees on the 2nd of October. Ryan Friel, the batter, bouncer left side. Eckstein is there. Wide throw, good stretch, and a good pick by Albert. Now Albert's loose for the rest of the day.
Albert was pretty loose in the clubhouse before the game. I had a chance to thank Albert for the way he greeted the '85 Cardinals here yesterday in the celebration, and he said, "What, are you kidding me? It was my honor," which I can tell you meant a lot to the players that Albert had that attitude towards them. But Albert, being the class guy he is, sent it right back at me.
Here's Felipe Lopez. Jim Edmonds has the digital camera going today. He's got a little bit of a tweak in his right shoulder, nothing serious, but it has kept him out 2 days in a row. And I think Tony just feels, so does Barry Weinberg, that resting Edmonds is the best cure for what slightly ails him right now.
Well, that shot at Jim Edmonds shows me that this ballpark and this game means a lot to these players. For posterity, Jim Edmonds, you don't normally see a player with a camera in his hands during a game, but I think that's pretty indicative that this is not your normal game. That camera's a little too much for Jim, I think.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Felipe Lopez. Matt's outside with a breaking pitch. After the game today, all the returning players who are here for the weekend who played in this ballpark will be honored on the field, including my partner. 3-2 pitch, and it's out to left, and right there is Reggie.
Well, there's quite a few pitchers that will be here. I've seen a number of them in the ballpark, former Cardinal pitchers, and as we all go to the mound, who do you think we're going to let stand on that rubber?
Well, you heard what Gibson said to me yesterday. When I asked him how competitive he still is at this time of his life, he said, "Don't you dare drive in front of me if we ever run into each other on the road."
Well, that pitching mound is all his. We'll all stand right behind him.
This is Adam Dunn, 4th in the National League with his 39 homers. You think he wouldn't love to get to 40 on the last day of the season? Adam Dunn 0 for 5 with 2 punch-outs yesterday. 0 for 3 on Friday. So a hitless weekend for him, and no player wants to go into the offseason like that. Pretty good jam job by Matt. So the Phillies lead 1-0 at Washington in the bottom of the 4th. The Cubs did not score in the top of the 1st at Houston. Those are the National League games we're keeping an eye on. We could have 1-game playoffs in both leagues tomorrow. Now Chicago is really putting the hurt on Cleveland. 3-0. White Sox at Indians after 3. This ball driven out of the park, but fouled down into the right field corner.
You mentioned Dunn wanting to hit home run number 40. I think he's pretty much got the strikeout lead locked up with his 2 yesterday. He's at 166. Pat Burrell's going to have to strike out 6 times today to overtake Dunn in that department.
Don't see that happen.
And perhaps more.
You're right.
But, you know, there have been pretty good hitters over the years that have led the league in strikeouts. A couple names come to my mind. Reggie Jackson, Dave Kingman. I believe Babe Ruth did that 1 year also.
Yeah. Yankees did not score in the top of the 1st at Boston. Now, if Cleveland loses, it doesn't make any difference what the Red Sox do. They would be in as the wild card. 1-game lead, 1 game to go. And right now, Cleveland at home, they've had a really disappointing weekend at home. Matt's gone 3-2 on the big slugger. Now he's got him with a high fastball. A grounder, a routine fly, and a swinging strikeout. Edmonds likes it, and here come the Cards. Their bats have been very hot. David Eckstein at the top of the Cardinal lineup today. Cardinals are 4th in the league in hitting, tied with the Phillies, 2nd in runs. They're 7th in homers, and everybody's in there except Jim Edmonds today. Second half of our Dobbs Tire and Auto Center pitching matchup is the Reds' 26-year-old left-hander, a former Yankee, Brandon Clausen.
Clausen has a chance to get his earned run average under 4, and the Cardinals' main objective here today, according to Dave Duncan, is to win this game. I asked him how far he was going to go with Matt Morris and what was the approach today, and he said, bottom line, we're here to win today. We want to win. We'll go as long with Matt as we need to.
I like it.
No relief pitcher really needs work. You see the starters in that lineup today backing up Matt Morris other than Jim Edmonds. So this is not a team that's just showing up here for fun today.
They're going to play hard for 9 innings or how many ever it takes. An early October sea of red here in the ballpark. One ball and 2 strikes. Cardinals will fill the ballpark one final regular season time here. Eckstein trying to get up over the top of that thing, fouls it off to the right. By the way, Cardinals a franchise record in ticket sales, over 3,537,000 tickets. Previous record was 3-4 back in '89. 45 sold-out games. Eckstein pops it left side, playable. Shortstop the angle. It's Lopez. The ball drifts on him, and he can't make the play. They could give him an error on that. There is a breeze blowing in from right field, and Rick, a ball has to be very high in this park to have any effect by the breeze as well.
Well, the breeze is definitely blowing in that direction, but Lopez just drifting on the ball a little bit. He looked for the stands. He was nowhere near the stands. And David Eckstein, even though that ball drifting foul, he was going to make sure that if it somehow ended up in fair territory and dropped, he'd be at second base. The guy only knows one way to play, doesn't he?
You got that right. He gets jammed. It's a little flare, and it's an easy play for Edwin Encarnacion. Reds defense brought to you by Steak and Shake, Real Steak Burgers, Rio Milk Milkshakes, and a familiar face over there at second base. Rick, that is former Cardinal prospect Aaron Holbert.
The name we heard a lot about for a long time, and getting a chance to play here on a Reds team that has really been, I'd have to say, disappointing from my point of view. In that spring training, this team had a chance to be better. Had their manager replaced. Dave Miley was a young up-and-coming manager, but the team just could not get anybody out. Jerry Naren's taken over. Got a few young guys in the lineup now, and they're winning more.
Great swing by So Taguchi, but Austin Kearns was playing shallow. Albert will bat with 2 outs, bases empty, and the crowd is going to like this. Albert is back after what he did here on Friday night with a grand slam and 5 RBIs, a home run, 2 ribbies, 3 runs scored yesterday. First pitch, pop up. Right over by the dugout, and it took Javier Valentin a long time to get over there, and he finally made the play. Cardinals go 1-2-3. First inning of the last regular season game at Busch Stadium. No score. Cards Reds, and Matt Morris will go back to work. Top of the second. Middle of the order. It'll be Austin Kearns leading off for the Reds. When this young man is healthy, he can be a dangerous power hitter. I know we got some great Cardinal fans down in Kentucky. Austin Kearns is a UK Wildcat out of Lexington, right down the road from Cincinnati. He'll be followed by Javier Valentin and Edwin Encarnacion. This ball driven down to the right field corner. Larry Walker will have to play it off the wall. No chance for a play at second as it hit the pad and was deadened. And a leadoff extra base hit for Austin Kearns. Evidently, we have a new producer in our truck today, Rick Horton. One of the most famous Arkansas Razorbacks of all time, Tom Pagnozzi, has joined our crew.
Is he actually running the show there?
Does Steve Winkler know about this?
I don't know. I guarantee you, if Tom Pagnozzi put his mind to it, he'd get the job done better than those guys in there. I tell you what, that Tom Pagnozzi can do anything.
Best catcher I ever saw.
Oh, he's phenomenal. Yeah. Hey, Pags.
Best catcher I ever saw. Javier Valentin. He's a switch hitting catcher. Matt pulls the string with a breaking ball, and he's got him 0-2 very quickly. The Astros, they just picked up 2 in the bottom of the first. Things are not looking good for the pursuing teams already in the wild card finale today.
You know, I've been wondering about that potential playoff scenario where the teams would have to play on Monday, and it almost seems like that system is not very fair. There's a lot of fans, I think, across baseball that are trying to make plans to get to ball games and watch their favorite team, and kind of that extra day, which certainly could happen with wild cards, I think kind of really messes up the schedule, and in some sense makes it to where a team may be playing on Monday night late and then having to play somewhere the following day in a city that was yet to be determined. Just doesn't seem fair.
Well, I think that's why they normally have the wild card teams not play until Wednesday, because if the Cardinals would play the Phillies, we would play Wednesday, Thursday. And we understand the Padres are in the air right now heading for St. Louis. Cardinals Padres, that'll be Tuesday, Thursday. Of course, when they have to play today yet, and then they'll be in the air. But they will be in St. Louis today. There will be workouts for both ball clubs here tomorrow, and game 1, we're looking at 48 hours from now, time and all that to be determined. By the way, you saw the out-of-town scoreboard brought to you by Waterway, 7 area locations. It's 0-2 to Valentin. Matt Morris got way inside with that breaking pitch. So just to put a capper on some of our numbers here today, the Cardinals will finish with 45 sold-out games, 42 consecutive of 40,000 plus, and 64 of 81 home games this year with crowds of 40,000 or better. An amazing performance by Redbird fans. Now this is trouble down the left field line. That'll easily score Austin Kearns, and Javier Valentin gathers in his 50th RBI of the year. Couple of opposite field hits.
This was not a very good pitch location for Matt Morris. The ball up and out over the plate. It's the kind of pitch that produces a lot of blue hits, and that's exactly what this is. Not hit very well, but it's well placed. Double down the left field line by Valentin. And pitch location is the problem there. Up and away, the bat does not have as far to travel from the hitter's point of view. If you're down and away, it's a tougher pitch for you to connect squarely with. And so really just a bad pitch by Matt Morris.
Edwin Encarnacion is next. And after breezing in the first inning, Matt is having a bit of a problem here. Back-to-back doubles. He's gone 2-0 on his third hitter. Tough play. It's a good thing Abraham charged that ball, isn't it? If he lays back on that, that would have been big-time trouble. Very well played.
Very well played by Abraham Nunez, and Encarnacion not doing his job, pulling the ball with a runner on second base, nobody out. Nunez getting the right hop, making a strong throw, but the runner remains at second base, and that's part of the reason the Reds are where they are. 15 games below 500.
Yeah, they can hit the ball out of the ballpark, but they don't do a whole lot to manufacture runs. This is Chris Denorfia, 25-year-old outfielder, former 19th round draft choice. They just cannot score any runs in Cleveland. The Indians have now been shut out for 4 innings. White Sox lead 3-0. Cubs didn't score, top of the second. Houston 2-0 there. Phillies 1-0 in the 5th at Washington. I remember a home game we had on the last day of the season, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, when in a matter of moments, the Cardinals took the lead. Todd Helton hit a home run against Atlanta, and the Cardinals went from traveling to having home field advantage in the first round of the playoffs. And that was one of the last major league home runs that John Rocker gave up. 2-2 from Matt Morris. So some crazy things can happen on this final day of the season. Cardinals start today with 49 home wins, 50 road wins, and 50 wins inside the division. Matt goes 3-2. And by the way, there was no design to have Matt Morris, the longest tenured Cardinal, start the final home game here. Tony La Russa said it just turned out to be a nice coincidence that it worked out that way, but there was no setup of the rotation or anything like that so that Matt would work this final game.
Just one of those things that provides great symmetry to this moment, to this day today, including the great weather here at Busch Stadium today. I think the weather certainly has cooperated with us this weekend to make this a moment that I think people will remember, a weekend to remember. It's just been beautiful here at the ballpark.
Larry Walker misjudging it at first, and then kind of a running over the shoulder basket catch by the time he got done. That thing kept going, and Larry made a fine play. Javier Valentin over to third base now with 2 outs. Well, tomorrow evening, hope you can join us over at Market and 9th. Lots of free festivities on the Gateway Mall, including the band Cowboy Mouse, some of your favorite Cardinals. By the way, if you're making your plans, the Cardinals will appear right around 6 o'clock tomorrow evening. Cardinal Nation will gather at 4 p.m. for Rally Monday, something that all 8 of the playoff teams will be doing all around the country. We had about 10,000 folks down on the steps of the Arch with us last year. We'll be at 9th and Market, Gateway Mall tomorrow. Here's Aaron Hobart, the ex-Cardinal farmhand, who did appear in 1 game for the Cardinals in 1996. ...16 years in the minor leagues. 32 years of age, out of Torrance, California. Cardinal scout Matt Keogh signed him originally.
Has it been that long?
Can you believe that? This man has seen some bus rides and some motels. They have
Matt. Now that's Matt Keogh, not Marty, that signed it. Matt Keogh, former Cardinal player. Would love to see him at the ballpark today.
Well, there's a whole bunch of them over there, Rick, if you want to take a little walk.
Well, you know, Matt was actually married. You know, who I'd really like to see also, and this is going to sound bad saying this, but you know, Matt's wife was one of those girls in the video.
You better wrap this up.
Yeah, I'm gonna get to it.
We got 2 outs, you know.
You know that legs video?
No, I have no idea.
You don't. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Well, she was an actress and just a wonderful lady. The other thing about seeing those folks over there in that booth is you're seeing families. I saw Tito Landrum's little daughter, Melissa, who was 2 years old, and I talked to her for 10 minutes before I realized who she was.
You and a 2-year-old. That must have been fascinating.
Yeah, that's right.
The base hits keep on coming from the Reds. Aaron Holbert drove in a run, and now there's Brandon Clausen with his 5th base hit in 54 at bats. 2-0 Cincinnati on 4 hits in this inning.
This is a ZZ Top video, in case you were wondering.
Okay. There they are.
Jerry Royce.
There's Kenny Daly.
Ken Daly.
Jerry Royce, the pride of Rittner High School right there.
Too many left-handers in that shot.
I noticed you guys all kind of stick together.
Yep.
I looked up last night. You, Royce,
Greg Matthews,
LaPointe. Talk about some serious characters.
We were in a rotation together with the Chicago White Sox. 3 of us. But all have our roots here in St. Louis. It's great to talk about Jerry Royce also. You know, I think about Jerry's roots not only as a Cardinal, as his first team, but growing up in St. Louis. I think this even has more meaning to him. I heard him chat with Bill DeWitt last evening, and he was so thankful to be invited to be a part of this. I mean, from the bottom of his heart, very sincere. Yep. And I think, you know, the Rittner High grad is very grateful to be a part of that. There's Bill DeWitt with Bud Selig.
Jerry Royce won 220 games. Problem is 90% of those were not with the Cardinals. He had some good years with the Dodgers and the Astros. A rough inning. There's the big left-hander. We're going to the bottom of the 2nd. Sanders, Walker, Grudzielanek straight ahead, and the Reds on top, 2-0. All right, folks, fire up the laptops. Rick Horton's waiting for you. Go to WB11TV.com, click on our icon. Ask us a question about today's game. Ask us a question about Busch Stadium.
You bet. And if we do select your question, you will receive a care package from Hair Saloon for Men. Men deserve better. And there are plenty of great questions to be asked about this ballpark and about this day, historic day. And I know we always get great questions, Bob, and today will be no different.
There are 2 questions you cannot email in today. One of them, how many arches are there? We've talked about that numerous times.
Ad nauseum, I would say.
Ad nauseum. There are 96. And do not write in and say, is Busch Stadium a perfect circle? Because it's not.
It's not.
It is not.
Is oblong?
It is slightly oblong, and that's because football used to be played here. Just the way it is.
I have enjoyed working all year with a partner who's slightly oblong.
Reggie's got a nice line drive to left. He'll hustle into second, and Reggie Sanders is 7 for his last 19 with now a 6-game hitting streak.
Well, Andy Van Slyke told us yesterday he'd like to see Reggie pull the ball with authority, and that's what he does here. Gets the head out, pulls the ball down the line, and runs pretty well on his way towards that double. And Reggie is very much back in the hunt here, swinging the bat well over the past 3 or 4 days, getting at least a hit in every game, and it's so good to see. And Larry Walker is another Cardinal hitter that is doing a lot to protect Albert Pujols in the middle of this Cardinal lineup.
Larry in the number 5 hole today, and he went reaching for a pitch way out of the strike zone. As we mentioned yesterday, Andy Van Slyke and Rick and I talked about it. Larry is not a left-hander who can only hit the low fastball. He can get upstairs as well.
How about the way he pulled his hat down over his eyes like, I'm so embarrassed by that swing, I don't want you to know who it was. He is a funny guy. He's not just funny, but he can hit. Yesterday, 2 home runs, provided all of the Cardinal offense. Both pitches up, out over the plate. And the second one showing the great Larry Walker power of old. He's never going to get those numbers again he had when he was in Colorado, but he's still a quality player.
0-2. That's what happens when you give away that first pitch of an at-bat and get yourself behind. It's all about working the count. And that's strikeout number 1 for Brandon Clausen.
Now, we had visitors in our booth yesterday that were incredibly intelligent. We had Andy Van Slyke. We had Bob Tewksbury. We had Tom Herr. Now, do you think we could find some intelligent guys, former players, to come up here in the booth with us today?
We might have used them all up.
Well, I think Scott Terry may be one of them. He's pretty sharp.
Oh, yeah, there's one more.
And I bet we can find a couple more.
Yeah, we'll get Scott in here. We like to take our guys like Andy yesterday and Scotty today that have been visiting with our fans all year long and, you know, give them an inning or two here in the booth with us and let us kick a few things around. We'll look forward to that. What a good teacher of the game Scott Terry is. Reggie Sanders still at second base with 1 out. Mark Grudzielanek is 5 for his last 13. So some of the offensive trends are looking good, folks. David Eckstein had a hitting streak stopped yesterday. So Taguchi hit the ball well, his only AB today. Albert's been good last couple of days. Reggie, 7 hits in his last 6 games. Larry Walker and now Mark Grudzielanek. Up the middle, not hit very hard. It hits the bag. And that'll give the Cardinals a run. Aaron Holbert was ready to play it, and the base on the last day it will ever sit in that spot for a regular season game had a totally different idea. Now that's the ballpark working for you.
Well, that's just smart hitting is what that is. You hit the ball. I'm sure he was aiming for that corner of the base. Not only smart hitting, but Jose Oquendo, very smart as the third base coach. He saw that that ball had eluded Holbert enough, no way to throw out Reggie Sanders at home. And Jose Oquendo, who deserves our congratulations for making the All-Busch Stadium team as a utility player yesterday.
I was down in the dugout with Jose when he came out. This is before he knew about that. When he found out they were going to put a utility player on the All-Busch Stadium team, he couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
And Whitey told me a hilarious story on the field as we were waiting for Jose to come out. Whitey waved me over and he said he had a conversation years ago with George Steinbrenner. Here's the 1-0. George Steinbrenner says to Whitey, how come you can win a pennant with Jose Oquendo in right field and I can't win one with Dave Winfield?
That's a great line. That's a great line. That shows how good Whitey was.
Yes. 1 ball, 1 strike to Molina. Now this is one bat we need to get woken up, folks. He's 0 for his last 10.
Well, that's one of Scott Terry's favorite stories, is being on an elevator. In the back of the elevator, Whitey got on with the coaches, headed up to the room after a game. The next day, Scott and I were scheduled to start a doubleheader, and he says to his coaches, he says, they got a doubleheader tomorrow. They've got Gooden and they've got Viola, and I've got Terry and Horton. and he turns around and Scott's standing right behind him.
Hey, Whitey calls him like he sees him.
Of course, the rest of that story is we actually swept that doubleheader.
See?
Scott pitched very well. And you mentioned Scott being a great teacher of the game. He has taught some of the following names. He taught a kid named Drew Horton, a kid named Josh Worrell, and a kid named Scott Van Slyke pitching lessons. So if those folks sent him to him, what do you think? I think he knows his business.
Molina, look at him go out of the strike zone to get a base hit. Now, that's not exactly busting your way out of an 0 for 10, but you'll take a hit any way you can get one. Now, the Cardinals have 3 hits in the inning and a potential for a big frame. This leaderboard brought to you by First Bank. Will treat you like one of the family. Cardinals with a win clinch the outright Major League lead for wins. White Sox are ahead 3-0 in their game.
You're not going to give me a magic number on that, are you?
No. 100 would be my magic.
Don't mention that to Tony. Tony said something interesting. He said you can't chase numbers, you play the game. Yeah. And the numbers happen. I think that's a pretty good way to say it.
This is a fly ball to right. Ridgelonic should be tagging at second. He will motor to third base. And the Cardinals will have runners at the corners with Matt Morris coming up. 2 outs. I think Rick Dempsey had a great line in the George Will book called Men at Work, a book about baseball. Rick Dempsey said for 6 months, you catch the ball, you move runners around, you do the fundamental things, you do them right every day, and in September you look up and you've won.
There's a lot to that.
All the little things. I mean, you know, that's half a year of doing all those little bitty things. And of course, in Earl Weaver's case, his manager, he used to love the 3-run blast. But that never has been the MO for long-term success in this game, and the Reds are a perfect indication of that.
But even if you don't bunt, there's still some little things you need to do. Hit the cutoff man, move runners over, that are part of winning. Yeah. And I think it really speaks to how much you have to stay focused for such a long period of time in this game. These players, these Cincinnati Red guys, showed up in spring training in February, many of them with hopes of being the division champion, and all these games ahead of them, all the spring training games, all the off-season workouts, culminating in game number 162. It's a long season, an awful lot of work, an awful lot of preparation, and the teams that are most consistent through those periods of time and play the game the right way are, as Rick Dempsey said, the teams that are going to continue playing. Now, talent helps a little bit too.
Ridgelonic's at third, Molina's at first with 2 outs, bottom of the second. Cardinals down by 1. Nice to see him on the board after Cincinnati scored. Matt could not hold up, and the Cards will settle for that 1 run. Reggie got it going with a double. Ridgelonic drove him in, and after 2, it's Cincinnati 2-1. What's on Tap brought to you by Bud Light. Great taste for your great times. We've got a little time till our next game. Sometime next March, Jupiter, Florida. Cardinals against a foe yet to be determined. It's not foe, but it's friend in our booth. Scott Terry is here to see us. Good to see you, buddy.
Yeah, it's good to be up here. I'm usually back in the studio watching you guys toil and labor over these tough games, and then getting to analyze. So it's nice to see it up close and personal.
Let me ask you something. Do you guys sit in there and second guess the announcers? I mean, do you bust our chops like other people do?
You know what? There's so many times that I'll say something and you guys will say it right after I do. And Don Bell will look at me and it's like, are they in your dugout? And I'll say, yes, they are. I said, it's amazing how us smart guys think a lot alike.
I was going to say it's either comforting or scary to hear you say that, one of the two.
Well, Don would say, you know, I never thought of that. And I said, well, there you go.
1 ball, 1 strike to Felipe Lopez, and this one off the plate inside. Scott, do you have the positive feeling about this ball club that we do based on the last couple of days?
Yes, I do. I think this whole weekend has totally energized this ball club. Seeing all the former players and the tradition and the reality of closing this ballpark down and being able to establish something forevermore. Winning the World Series the last year in Busch.
Uh-oh. Taguchi.
Oh!
It looked like he got it, maybe lost it, and if he missed it, it wasn't by much. So Taguchi can't pull in the home run by Felipe Lopez. And the crowd's going to give him a great hand out there in center field.
Cardinal fans always appreciate great effort, and that was great effort by Sho Taguchi. He goes a long way for this, checks the warning track. He knows where the wall is, times his jump very well, gets a glove on it, but just off the tip of his glove. Tremendous effort by Taguchi. If he was 6'4", he'd have caught it.
Now Adam Dunn leaves the yard. Goodness gracious. That's number 40 for Adam Dunn. That breaks his 0 for the weekend. He was 0 for 9 until that opposite field shot. And in the second half of the year, that's been one of the big problems for Matt Morris, has given up the long ball.
Take a look at the pitch location from Matt Morris, surrendering back-to-back home runs here in the third inning. Adam Dunn with number 40, pretty much right down central, about thigh high, and Adam Dunn swings through a lot of pitches, but he didn't swing through that one. Scott, I want to ask you, as a former reliever, you were the stopper for a while here with the Cardinals in the 90s and also spent a lot of time in the bullpen. How do you assess where the Cardinal bullpen is right now?
Well, I think everything's right where it needs to be, with maybe the exception of facing left-handed hitters. Obviously, Ray is well documented that he struggled a little bit. But by the same token, I think a guy that's going to alleviate that would be a guy like Al Reyes, who is so good against left-handed hitters.
3 in a row. Austin Kearns. And Matt Morris already has a new baseball hanging his head behind the mound. Dave Duncan is on his way out. And you sure wouldn't want to see Matt Morris go out on a day like this in a ballpark where he has had so much success.
Well, this is a game you're trying to get a tune-up confidence-wise for Matt Morris. So Taguchi ran out of room there, couldn't even make an effort, and Dave Duncan trying to offer some words of wisdom. You know, there's a psychological thing that's going on right here, Scott Terry, in terms of Dave Duncan. What do you suppose he's trying to impart to his veteran? It's different than talking to a rookie, of course, but what do you think he's trying to tell Matt Morris right here? Yeah,
just keep your head up, go back to what your strengths are, get back down in the zone, run your sinker away from some guys, maybe change some speeds. I know Matt doesn't always use his changeup to the extent that he can, and don't even be afraid to maybe knock somebody off the plate just a little bit, move their feet around. Right. Guys are getting awfully comfortable right now and taking some big swings, so those are some things that you can do to alleviate that.
Nothing cheap about those home runs. 2 of them dead center field, the other opposite field by Adam Dunn, and a breaking ball for a strike to Javier Valentin.
I'll tell you, the last time we had Scott Terry come up in this booth.
I tell you what, Rich and I were talking before the game, Ricky, and I told him, I said, this is just like a summer afternoon. It's so humid today. I said the ball's going to be flying.
Yeah.
So it's sure enough, it's flying.
Yeah, it feels like July or August out here. I mean, 79 degrees sounds really cool, but it is muggy, sticky, and the ball is flying. David Eckstein makes a good play there. 1 out, top of the third. You're watching Cardinal Baseball on KPLR TV, KPLR DT, St. Louis. Bob Carpenter, Rick Horton, Scott Terry with us. Rich Gould will be joining us shortly. Rich is over in the bullpen room, which is the old football press box here at the ballpark, and a couple hundred Cardinal families are over there.
How about some guys, Scott, that you saw over there in that bullpen room and last night at the party that was past both of our bedtimes that we both attended? What are a couple of guys that you saw there that you were just excited about seeing, maybe hadn't seen in a while?
John Denny was the first guy I saw that I hadn't seen in a while. We came up together in 1986 in Cincinnati. Well, we didn't come up together. He had been here a while. But that was my rookie year over in Cincinnati. I saw him. I saw Jerry Royce. I saw Tim Jones. I saw Lonnie Macklin. Just a lot of people, a lot of different faces. Jerry Buchek, who has a son named David, who I give pitching lessons to right now, trying to get an opportunity somewhere. But oh man, that was tremendous. The job the Cardinals have done for the alumni this weekend has just blown me away. Dan Farrell and Martin Coco and those guys, the way they've treated us. I mean, I even feel important.
3 balls and 2 strikes to Encarnacion.
We had a couple of guys to that list. We had Bernard Gilkey there last night. Great to see him. And what was interesting to me, Bob, a couple of current players showed up at this party. I was surprised. I don't know about you, but I saw Adam Wainwright there, as well as Scott Seabold.
John Gall. I talked to Randy. Everybody was all over Randy Flores for going 1 batter, giving up a rope, and getting the W yesterday.
But that's a left-hander for you.
But see, for the young guys, it was a free meal.
Oh, that's it. I remember those days.
3-2 pitch on the corner. Encarnacion gone. And for Matt, his 3rd strikeout. How about a Hardy's hot pitch of the game for that nasty breaking ball, Rick?
Well, it's good timing for Matt Morris to come up with a Hardy's hot pitch, because he's thrown some bad ones. Actually, a sinker down and away on the outside corner for a call third strike. It's our Hardy's hot pitch. Brought to you by Hardy's, introducing the Frisco Thick Burger.
Base is empty, 2 outs. Here's Chris Denorfia. Well, Scott, hey, congratulations on a very good job all year long in the studio. Rick and I, a lot of times we don't get to stay with you very long, but we love what you're doing, and hats off to you, Don Bell, Rich, all the guys, Andy, who do a great job back there for us.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You know, we got some tremendous games that we got to watch this year and be able to analyze. We had Carpenter while he was on a roll, and we've seen Suppan, and these guys have done a tremendous job themselves as players.
How many times did you guys show the Eckstein Grand Slam?
Probably just as many as you guys did.
Larry Walker throws the ball away after it fell. That'll be a double and an error, and ending up at third base, Chris Denorfia, in what is one of the ugliest innings in a long time in this wonderful ballpark.
Well, this play looks a lot like spring training right here. Larry Walker giving chase. Mark Grudzielanek kind of stopped, thinking that Walker was going to be able to catch that ball. A little miscommunication, perhaps. And Larry Walker comes up throwing. I got it. No, you take it. Well, neither one of us can get it. Walker spins and fires the ball into, well, left field. And Abraham Nunez chases it down, and you know, that kind of looked like the old circus. We always used to say put a 10 over that act, didn't we?
Yeah, sooner or later when the ball stops rolling, you hope somebody will just pick it up and not throw it again.
Every Little League coach in America knows what you just said.
Hold the ball. Somebody please hold the ball.
Now they're going to walk Aaron Holbert. Matt hardly ever walks anybody. This will be the first of the game, and that'll get us down to the pitcher, Brandon Clausen. Hey, Scott, go back, enjoy your teammates. Thanks, buddy. Great job this year, and thanks for stopping by.
I appreciate it. I thank you guys for letting me come in here and be a part of this. This is awesome.
Great to see you, Scott.
Scott Terry. The 8th man to bat in the inning will be Brandon Clausen. Jerry Bruckheimer's latest dramedy, I guess that's drama and comedy, huh, is a certified hit. Don't miss Don Johnson, all new Just Legal, Monday at 8, only on WB11, a dramedy.
And that is not the Suppan word of the day, in case you're wondering.
We're going to get closer to the end of the game before we drop that wonderful 3-syllable Jeff Suppan word of the day on folks.
Now, I don't know if it's probably catching around the stadium, because I let my daughter, who's here at the ballpark, know what that word was, and she might have told her friend, and so on and so on. I tried to keep this really under wraps.
Nunez has to wait. Big throw over to first. Couple of long balls for the Reds. Lopez, Dunn, and Kearns, and it's 5-1. Color, character, Busch Stadium, 40 years of it in the commemorative Cardinal Yearbook. All the football, concert, circus, everything that went on here. Now, here's how you get it. 421-2400. Place your order now. We have operators standing by. Standing by with Rich Gould, the only man with no hitters in this ballpark.
Isn't that something else? As we talk about great Cardinal moments, not one but 2 no-hitters for Bob Forsch. I mean, everybody's been talking about that this weekend too, Bob.
Well, I was sort of glad when I saw the hits getting both sides getting a base hit. So, you know, unless there's a playoff game now, I've got it pretty much tied up.
Isn't it fun to see all the old teammates, really from generations and years past?
You know, I mean, we couldn't ask for more. The Cardinals have done such a great job, and everybody's having such a great time, and you know, they spared no expense to make us feel like kings.
Natives got a little restless just a while ago with Matt Morris giving up 3 in a row. It's the first boo I've heard all weekend.
Well, yeah, hey, that stuff happens. You know, I've done it too, and everybody that goes out there enough times going to get beat up a little bit.
Well, it's great to see you as always, living here, and you're at the ballpark all the time. So thank you, Bob, so much for the memories, for the great no-hitters, for just the great work.
Hey, thanks to the fans. They did it all.
All right, guys, back to you.
David Eckstein on a pop-up. Aaron Holbert ran into Austin Kearns, who I think had called him off the ball, but Aaron never gave up on it.
Looks like we have a little Bermuda Triangle going on in that same spot right there. The Cardinals let the ball drop. The Reds said, we're not going to drop it. We're both going to catch it. And that's our save of the game. Brought to you by our St. Louis area Toyota dealers. Visit them today or check them out at buyatoyota.com.
So Taguchi next, and then Albert. A lot of Cardinal fans at the ballpark and some watching down in St. Genevieve today. Luke Uding, Michael Loida, Danielle Olivia Uding, Gary Uding, Lauren, and Barb Bright, all from St. Genevieve. They're all watching the ball game today, cheering on the Cardinals. They were all here at the other last game yesterday.
Our WB11 friend Don Bell came by and let us know that Matt Morris has thrown 74 pitches through 3 innings, and there is going to be a limit as to the number of pitches that Tony La Russa will let him throw. I'd have to say it's in the 90s somewhere, certainly not more than 100.
And that's a cracked bat from So Taguchi. That ball got in on his hands and it cracked his bat. Brought to you by our friends at Woods Basement Systems. If you have a crack in your foundation, call the experts at Woods. They'll give you those basement and wet basement repairs and take care of it. To Taguchi. So with the fly ball out of play to the right side, Albert Pujols is next here in the 3rd.
Great to have Rich visit with Bob Forsch. You know, you think about Bob Forsch, he spanned a lot of decades here with the Cardinals. He's been around here. St. Louis has been his home, and kind of like Red Schoendienst, he's a guy that knows probably the most folks up there in that room. And both of those guys, very classy men that have the respect of dozens of players, hundreds of players that have worn Cardinal uniforms, including the current guys. I think they really know who Bob Forsch is and respect him.
Here's Albert. You don't want to walk anybody in front of Albert Pujols. He could make this a close ball game again. He swung at the first pitch his first time up and fouled out to the catcher. Another amazing set of numbers for Albert this year, hitting .330, home run total at 41. A big day could get him to 120 RBIs. He's got 117 right now. Reggie Sanders is next. He had Albert reaching. This one popped up over near where the first one was. Adam Dunn this time. Albert has fouled out twice. It'll be Reggie Sanders next.
It's Oswalt going in the Chicago game, correct, for Houston. He's held them scoreless, the Cubs, through the first 3 innings. At this point in time, the Cardinals staff now has given up one more run than Houston. One of the things that the Cardinals are playing for is the ERA title today, which means something to the Cardinal pitchers, means something to Dave Duncan as the pitching coach in charge of this. And at this point in time, if no more runs are scored, Houston may overtake the Cardinals. It's very close. It's been getting closer over the past week. The Cardinals had a huge lead over the Astros, but they've tightened that race, and 4 runs separated them at the start of this game.
What kind of party do you throw for the ERA title?
The pitchers throw one, but they don't tell you about it. And you're not invited.
Reggie with a double down the line, first time up. That's Roy Oswalt going for number 20 today against Greg Maddux. And after 3, it's the Astros on top, 2-0. Phillies got 3 in the 5th, and they now have a 4-0 lead at Washington playing in the 6th inning. So they're doing their part, but they may not get the help from the Cubs today that they need. 1-1 to Reggie, instead over to first, and back in there easily Taguchi.
Well, the tough road for the wild card teams is they end up using their starting pitchers the last couple of games. The Cardinals will have a healthy Chris Carpenter, who is perhaps meditating at this point in time. I'm not sure what he's doing. He's done.
He's getting his game one mantra going.
But the other teams have got to use their number 1, number 2 guys to try to at least have a chance of playing in postseason. So that's the advantage of clinching early. Tony talked about that a couple of weeks ago. You can set up your rotation. You can rest your guys the way you want. You can get them the number of at-bats specifically that they need, and we'll see if that advantage helps the Cardinals next week.
Reggie with a good rip. Six-game hitting streak suddenly. Reggie 7 for his last 19. Drove the ball for a double today. Had a base hit up the middle yesterday for a couple of RBIs. Couple driven in with a base hit and 4 at-bats on Friday. Two outs. Cardinals down by 4. You'd love to see Reggie get aboard because Larry Walker is next. Playing behind the runner. Who's on the move? Reggie strikes out, and that's it. Cardinals have stranded 3. We played 3 at Busch Stadium. The Reds are booming the ball today, and they lead the Cards 5-1. This portion of Cardinal baseball brought to you by Jeep Trail Rated capability only in a 4x4. Chrysler, inspiration comes standard. And Chevy's fresh mix, fresh beer, fresh fun. It just doesn't get any fresher. There it is. Won't be long, huh? A lot of red seats are in there. They're getting lower and lower, getting that field ready. And we've got a call to the bullpen. It'll be Anthony Reyes, and it's brought to you by Weber Chevrolet. Employee pricing has been really successful. Still trying to move out some of those remaining 05s, so stop by the 4 Weber lots in Granite City, Columbia, Waterloo, and Creve Coeur.
Well, Anthony Reyes, the young pitcher out of Southern California, has really been effective in his limited use here in the September call-up. Had that start against Milwaukee in an emergency role that he's called up. Cardinal starters needed an extra day rest and came up and did a great job there. And other than the way he wears his hat, I love this young right-hander.
The absolute flat bill. It's the top of the order for the Reds here in the 4th. Ryan Friel bunts one right in the air to Albert. That was a 100-foot bunt. Felipe Lopez will be next, and then Adam Dunn for the Reds here in the 4th. Yeah, the Phillies have scored again, 5-0 in the 6th at Washington. Cubs did not score in the top of the 4th in Houston, still trailing 2-0.
Reyes will not figure to be a part of the Cardinal bullpen in the playoffs, but that's a question that is yet unanswered. Tony La Russa saying yesterday, confirming that the 5 starters will all be part of the roster at least. So that means you have 6 bullpen guys. And the question will be, do you go with Flores and King from the left side and 4 right-handers? And no matter how you look at it, there's a guy that's been there all year long and done a great job that's not going to be on the roster. Could be Flores, could be Eldred, could be Thompson. Got to be one of those 3. And that's going to be a very hard decision to be made by number 10. I wouldn't want to make that choice because all those guys deserve it. They've all made great contributions. They all bring something different to the table. Flores brings the extra left-hander. Thompson brings a guy that's just been lights out from time to time. He really has been effective. ERA around 3 or under all year long. And Cal Eldred, well, his ERA's been under 2 for most of the season. So I'm sure there's some thoughts going on in the head of those guys out there in the bullpen about who it's going to be. They don't look nervous, though.
Fred Thompson looks just as young as he did when we called him up. That one had a funny sound to it. Nunez will catch it, and that will be it. Anthony Reyes comes out and overmatches the Reds for a 1-2-3 fourth inning. It'll be Walker leading off. The Cardinals are down 5-1. Division standings, leaderboard, whatever you want to call it. It's brought to you by Chrysler. Inspiration comes standard. The division champions, Padres, 1 game over as they play their finale today. And again, Philadelphia needs some help from the Cubs if they're to force a 1-game wild card playoff tomorrow. We have an update on that game. It's now 3-1. We also have an update on Larry Walker. He's aboard to lead off the bottom of the 4th. Look at that. Grandpa showing the little guy how to keep score.
Isn't that great? Isn't that great? You know, if we could find out where those folks are, we could probably get them a Bob Carpenter scorebook too. Okay, Grandpa, show me how you do it now.
Now, Grandpa, when Jose Oquendo played, how many different places would I have to write him in? Mark Grudzielanek takes a good whack at it, fouls it off to the right. He had a base hit up the middle that hit the second base bag his first time, and Mark has a chance to reach the 60 RBI mark for the year. He's 1 away.
You know, there are a number of people at the ballpark that keep score every game, and it's kind of your way of, I think, connecting to knowing what's going on. You know, I've done that before as a fan, just coming to a game and you just keep score because it kind of gets you into it. I mean, you're more aware of, you know, number of strikeouts that a pitcher has, or how many outs in a row he's retired perhaps. And I think it just has a way of kind of getting you into it. It's kind of I don't know, it's a connector, I think, and it connects generations.
Grudzielanek's 2 for 2. Larry Walker making the turn, chugging for third, and the Cardinals have a corner situation, nobody out. Mark Grudzielanek is now 7 for his last 15.
Larry Walker, always known as a great base runner, looking over his shoulder, actually at the request of Jose Oquendo. He likes guys doing that. I talked to him about that, and he thinks he wants his base runners to know where the ball is, and peeking over the shoulder, he doesn't mind him doing it. It's not something that they used to teach, but Larry Walker is just a smart base runner. And you have to know when to air it out and when to be cautious. And with a 5-1 deficit in the 4th inning, Larry Walker felt like that's a base he could get. And an RBI opportunity for Yadier Molina.
Base hit for Yadi last time up. He has a chance to finish with 50 RBIs with a couple today. Just good to see him get a base hit anyway. He went way out of the strike zone and bumped a little ground ball to the right side. Lawson misses low. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Another visitor up here, Bob Carpenter. We were talking about utility guys earlier. We got another one up here.
2-1.
The pride of the Citadel.
I think one of the only colleges that start with D, isn't it?
With D.
You've got D. We're not the Citadel, we're the Citadel.
The Citadel. Tim Jones, great to see you. How are you?
Oh, well, glad to be back here. I know now 2 things now that make me feel old. It's just one, seeing your kids get older, and your ex-teammates going bald now. That's.
There's another hit from Molina. We mentioned that's a bat that needs to come alive, and Yadier is 2 for 2 today. Cardinals back on the board, and it's a 5-2 game.
Well, we bring a pitcher up to the booth, and he has back-to-back home runs, and Tim Jones is instant offense here for the Cardinals. Yadier Molina picking up his 49th RBI on a ball in on his fist. And Tim Jones, you knew how to pick up some RBIs when you were a member of the Cardinals. You played short, you played other places, kind of like you had some utility to you. But what do you remember most about your years as a Cardinal?
Just mainly what I'd have to say, just playing with Ozzie Smith. I mean, he's played there so many years that even when I was in high school, and he was here so long that playing with a legend like him, that my kids are still more in awe about who I played with and more of what I've done.
Ball gets away. Now Molina had gone about 30 feet off first base, and he's looked up, and Grudzielanek wasn't going anywhere.
I think it's a good thing that Yadi's not that fast, because he took about 7 quick steps, didn't go anywhere. He was still close enough to the base to get back. Dave McKay got a little anxious over there.
Nobody out. Nunez would love to move a couple of runners ahead here. Cardinals down by 3, still early in the game. They've been out hit by the Reds 8-6. But the Cardinals are stringing some hits together today. They had 3 in the second, and now 3 in a row here in the fourth.
Tim Jones visiting with us in the booth. Now, Tim, you moved to Little Rock, Arkansas. You're back there, and you are in the restaurant business. Is that right?
Yes, we do. We, me and my wife, we own and operate a family sports restaurant, kind of geared to, you know, families with kids with a sports atmosphere.
What's it called?
And it's called Beef O'Brady's. It's a franchise out of Tampa, Florida.
All right, Razorbacks, you guys know where to go have dinner tomorrow.
And you and I know where to get a free meal next time we're in Little Rock. Hey, baby, you write that down?
We got it. We're there.
Anytime you guys want it, man.
Hey, the media can smell food from 100 miles away. 3 balls and a strike to Nunez. Pitcher on deck. Abraham had a big-time cut at that one.
Well, Tim, you know Little Rock has always been a town that brings up a lot of memories to a lot of former Cardinals, because most of us played Double-A there and have a lot of experience and friends there.
Exactly, and like a lot of us, that's where we, seems like a lot of guys I played with, that's where we met our future wives, and that's kind of what brought me back to Little Rock. Yeah, when I coming out, there's about 7 of us got married within 2 weeks of each other.
Good town.
Up the middle, underneath the second baseman. Grudzielanek is home. The Cardinals score again, and that is 4 base hits in a row. And now you can sacrifice with the pitcher if you so choose.
I think this is a big hit for the psyche of Abraham Nunez. He hit the ball very hard his first at-bat, but hits have been hard to come by for Abraham. Acts like he's swinging the bat better from the right side than from the left side as he scores. Mark Grudzielanek hustling all the way from second base, RBI number 44 for Nunez, but he's had his struggles over the last couple of weeks, hasn't he, Bob? Just not really swinging like he had early on in the season.
Yeah, they're calling Anthony Reyes back, and Hector Luna is going to bat here. Tony's going to let Reyes lead the game with a positive, a 1-2-3 top of the fourth. And he's going to get Hector Luna in at bat here. I know you like this move.
Oh, I like it. This might be my chance to play right here. I'm surprised to see if they let him swing away or bunt him over for the top of the lineup.
Yeah, you would think if they make the pinch hitting appearance here that they're going to go ahead and let him swing, but we'll see.
Just don't know how good a bunter Reyes was.
So Anthony Reyes, a scoreless 1-2-3, top of the fourth inning.
Well, if you ask Reyes, you might say he may think that he's a better hitter than Luna. He's a guy that got a couple home runs in the minor leagues. Of course, pitchers always, Tim, you know, pitchers always think that they know how to hit.
They do. And infielders, we think we can pitch.
Who's going to be the next pitcher?
Were you ever the emergency pitcher on the Cardinals?
Yes, I did.
Oh, you're kidding me. Did you actually get in the game? You just had to be nervous about it.
No, actually, because I knew Oquendo had done it before, and we were getting blown out in Montreal like 16-2 or something like that. And I actually approached Whitey before Oquendo could, and told Whitey if he needed somebody to go in, that I would do it. And doggone it, he did.
Brad Thompson loosening in the Cardinal pen. He'll be the next pitcher.
Nobody out. 4 straight hits. Luna swings through one. Counts even 1-1. Wow. In Washington, the Nationals just picked up 3 in the bottom of the 6th. It's 5-3 there. And the Cubs just picked up a couple in the top of the 5th. It's now 3-2 there. So this wild card thing isn't decided just yet.
I'm going to get my calculator out and make sure I got the ERA title thing going too, because I can't do that in my head.
All right.
Because it's very close now that the Cubs have scored a couple. Yeah. Astros and the Cardinals fighting for that ERA title. And it may not mean a whole lot in terms of playoffs and all that, but I tell you, there's some pitchers that care about it.
You know, and if pitchers care about it, Rick, so do we. Luna.
There it is.
Little flare. Center field. Down it goes. Bases loaded. Tim Jones, did you know that ball was going to drop?
Yeah, I've hit a few like that myself. You just know it.
You always hit the ball hard.
Hey,
Come on.
That's a line drive.
So Tony goes with a pinch hitter. He gets a blue pit.
You know,
bases are loaded. Look at that cup holder.
Well, I think that hand right there is about the size of Lee Smith's hand. Saw Lee last night. I shook hands with him, and I could not find my hand for about 5 minutes. That is one big man, and it's so great to see him among all those folks up there. Who have you really enjoyed seeing up there, Tim?
I've enjoyed some of the guys who I've actually enjoyed seeing the guys who I haven't played with is Lou Brock.
Yeah.
Jack Clark. He left just the year before I got here, and I actually was kind of nervous because when I showed up to make my major league debut, Buddy Bates and them, they gave me number 22, and for a while I was scared that people were going to confuse me with Jack Clark, like Jack never left or something.
Very similar type player.
Exactly. You know.
1 ball, 1 strike to David Eckstein. Great guy to have at the plate in this situation. He's not going to swing and miss very much, if at all. He's going to put the ball in play. And the Cardinals have a great chance to get right back even here. Down by 2. Bases loaded. Nobody out. Outfield is shallow. Off-speed pitch had him out ahead. Little pop-up. Everybody in the Cardinal dugout hoping it floats over their heads. And it's close enough, hitting off of the manager.
Well, he took batting practice before the game, and now he's trying to catch balls during the game. Tony's feeling a little frisky today, I think. That's Tony. You know, talked about, I heard him in an interview before the game talking about outfielders not using 2 hands anymore, and here he goes and sets a bad example.
That's terrible.
But Tim Jones up here with us. You follow the Cardinals still? I know you also played with Cleveland and some other teams, but Cardinals still part of your heart, and you know what's going on with this team?
Yeah. Definitely. Still big Cardinal fan.
Eckstein gets it to center. This is DeNorfia, the rookie. The runner is Molina, and the Cardinals won't even chance it with nobody out. 1 out now on the fly ball. That'll bring up Taguchi. You do not want to risk a double play because Albert Pujols is on deck now with So Taguchi. If nothing else, Albert needs to bat in this inning. It'll be Taguchi and then Pujols. A combined 0 for 3 today with a walk.
Taguchi's a hard guy to double up.
Same numbers we showed you yesterday. 500 batting average, career with the bases loaded. Yesterday, well, the numbers stayed the same because yesterday he hit a sacrifice fly in this situation.
And speaking of doubling up players, Tim, when you come to the ball game as a former middle infielder, do you watch the play of the middle infielders more than everybody else? Is that kind of where you key in on, or are you just watching the full game?
No, I'm usually watching the full game now. You just kind of watch how the outfielders. Actually, if you sit there and watch the outfielders, they'll kind of tell you more than the infielders a lot of times where they think guys are going to hit it.
What's amazing about this current Cardinal team is the middle infielders, Eckstein and Grudzielanek, setting a club record.
This ball is well hit. It's going to get near the track. It'll make it a 5-4 game as Molina comes home. The tying run, Nunez to third. And it's a nice 4th inning for the Cardinals so far.
I think it was smart of Luna not to even try to tag to make it 2nd and 3rd. First base open with Pujols up.
They would walk him, wouldn't they?
No, definitely.
I was thinking that same thing, man. I may just leave and let Tim Jones take over. What do you think, Bob?
No argument here.
You're tired of me anyway.
We tried to get you out of here when Scott Terry was here. Albert is the 8th Cardinal to bat in the inning. Fastball in there. He is fouled out twice. The crowd is chanting MVP. We shall see.
Does it amaze you that these Cardinal middle infielders and Albert at first base have participated in more double plays than anybody in Cardinal history, including, you look back at Ozzie and Tommy Herr?
Exactly. I would have thought Ozzie, or even Herr especially.
Right at the track. 8 Cardinals bat. Hey, Tim Jones, nice job on the rally, buddy. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having him.
Great to see you.
We're going to come down to Little Rock and see you sometime.
Oh, please do.
Free meal.
5-4. Cardinals have shaved the lead. This day in baseball history, Cardinal history, a new World Series record when Bob Gibson struck out 17 Tigers in Game 1. That's brought to you by Chevy and American Revolution Supercharged for 05. You know what Bob Gibson told me about that game? He said he threw more sliders than he had all year because in the World Series back then there was no interleague play. You're facing a team that has never seen you that year or maybe ever before. So he didn't throw the fastballs he usually throws. He had the killer slider going that day.
He always had a nasty slider, but when his fastball was on, you didn't really need it. But I remember that last strikeout. You see that picture over and over again. I believe it was Willie Horton who was his 17th strikeout victim.
Yeah.
And that was on a slider that actually didn't break very much. It was one of those torpedoes, stayed on the inside part, but 17 strikeouts is pretty amazing. Brad Thompson, not a strikeout guy. He's a guy who wants ground balls. Sinkers at the knees. Sinkers at the knees.
And that call brought to you by Weber Chevrolet, Granite City, Columbia, Waterloo, Creve Coeur. 4 area lots. Stop by. They're moving out the 05s. Austin Kearns fouls it off to the right side. Hits are even at 8. The Reds lead the hard-hitting Cardinals 5-4. The pitching's not exactly blowing us away right now, but the Cardinal bats sure have come alive. Phillies did not score in the top of the 7th at Washington. It remains 5-3 Philadelphia. The Yankees trailing 1-0 at Boston, middle innings. And the Indians did pick up a run in the 6th, but they're now in the 8th at home. White Sox 3, Cleveland 1. If Chicago wins that, the Red Sox will clinch while they're on the field at Fenway.
Is that against baseball protocol to be pouring champagne on the guy next to you while you're fielding a ground ball?
Yes, it is. And we're told Bill Miller, our St. Louis buddy from DeSmet High School, just homered. It's now 2-0 Red Sox. So the Yankees have the division title for the 8th straight time. Looks like the Red Sox are going to get that wild card. Out to Eckstein with a backhand. Albert stretching again. David must be throwing a cut fastball to first base today.
Yeah, one of the jobs of the first baseman is not to stretch too soon, is to wait to see where the ball goes. But once the ball is thrown, you'll start to stretch towards it. But if it keeps taking off away from you, you've got limited mobility. You've already committed with that front leg. And in this case, it's a good thing Albert's arms are so long and he's able to snag that ball out of the air.
Albert, a big man at 6'3", almost 230. And here's Javier Valentin, the Cincinnati catcher. First pitch swinging. Albert will take that big frame right to the bag for the second out.
Now we say that the Yankees have clinched the division, Bob. They have a 1-game lead on Boston. Boston wins this game. The Yankees are considered the division winner in a tiebreaker, but in a manner of speaking, like the Cardinals and the Astros, wouldn't it be fair to say that the Red Sox are co-division champions?
I totally agree with you. If you play for 6 months and you have the same number of wins and losses, you are co-champions.
We've settled it right here.
And we know they don't like that in Houston, and that's just tough. There it is right there, 2001.
So the Red Sox, if they win today, they're playing for something. Yeah. And B becomes before N in the alphabet, and sometimes they alphabetize them when they're tied. I noticed that. So Boston may be on top after all.
We'll be back to analyze the scoreboard a little bit more after this. Halfway through, it's a 5-4 Reds lead. Because it's alphabetical, I'm Carpenter Bob. Next to me, Horton Rick. At Busch Stadium as we go to the bottom of the 5th inning. Sanders, Walker, and Grudzielanek for the Redbirds.
Give some get well wishes to our friend Ray Langsdorf, who's really having a rough time, but he is watching this game today. He loves the Cardinals, and he's in Valmeyer, Illinois, and we want to wish him a speedy recovery and let him know we're thinking about him.
Breaking ball in there to Reggie Sanders. Kathleen Thorpe from Hannibal, Missouri is here at the ballpark with her family, celebrating her 10th birthday. She'll never forget number 10. Got a nice note from Scott Battles and Lisa Billingsley from Nokomis, Illinois, thanking us for a great year of baseball broadcast. We enjoyed bringing them to you, Scott and Lisa. Thank you so much. There you go, Rick.
Alphabetical.
Now,
I'm telling you, when you watch, I'm not going to go there again. Never mind.
And
if you look at the standings, I am going there again.
You guys forgot Gould Rich, and he would go in between us. 1 and 2 to Reggie. 1 for 2 with a double.
The great Googly Moogly. Got a nice email from somebody. Says that is their number one comment of all time at Cardinal Stadium was Rich Gould saying Googly Moogly.
That was a Mark McGwire homer, Rich.
It was deep, too. That was a game against the Giants that took 14 days to play.
Reggie Sanders, deep center field. It is a game tire. The bat of Reggie Sanders, number 16, his 21st home run. It takes Matt Morris off the hook. It ties this ball game in the 5th. And the fans get their curtain call. They get their wish. Reggie Sanders swinging the bat very well this past week. And now Chris Duncan batting for Larry Walker. Larry got some good action in, a base hit and 2 trips. Tony will give him the rest of the day off. Ladies and gentlemen, Reggie Sanders is ready for postseason baseball. He is now 8 for his last 21 over 6 ball games. You know what I like about these Cardinal homers, Rick? They're hitting the ball straight away. Yep. Albert did it. You know, Larry Walker pretty much a dead pull guy, but Reggie goes 411 straight away center right there. Well, Tony uses the word centering the ball. That's what he likes to talk about. Good hitters do. They just center the ball. They're just trying to hit the ball in the center of the bat. Number 1. Is this his first career homer? Yes, it is. Go ahead and smile, Dad. What a great moment for Dave Duncan and Chris Duncan. Rick Horton, that ball was crushed. I mean, that was deep up into the seats, just below the club level. Look at that. Hopefully the first of many curtain calls for the career of Chris Duncan. A special moment for Tony La Russa, Dave Duncan, of course, Chris himself. I know they're going to do their best to retrieve that baseball. This day is magical enough as it is. What a great moment that was for the Duncan family. Cardinals on top, 6-5. This is great stuff. Stay fair, stay fair, stay fair. We wouldn't do it again, would they? It's a little short for Grudzielanek. Hey, the Reds hit 3 in a row earlier today. How crazy would that be to have 2 clubs hitting back-to-back-to-back homers in the same game?
That will be a trivia question someday if that happens. And you and I will get it right.
It's
Finally.
0-2 to Mark Grudzielanek. Mark's had a great day. He's 2 for 2. Dave may be fighting back a little emotion right now. We don't see the Deacon get emotional very often. Look at that. I mean, he really hit that ball 407 feet into the far reaches of the Loge level down the right field line.
Kind of reminds you a little bit of Adam Dunn, does Chris Duncan. He strikes out a fair amount too, but he's got the same kind of power. He really does have tremendous power. Had a breakout year with RBIs and home runs in AAA this year. And perhaps he's a guy that's going to be a next power hitter for the Redbirds.
Well struck by Grudzielanek. And that is caught by Denorfia. The rookie outfielder making an outstanding play. Chris Denorfia.
The Cardinal fans showing their class even in the last day at Busch Stadium, applauding this great play by the center fielder Denorfia, who lays out right in front of him in center field, slightly in the gap, makes a very nice play. It's our defensive play of the game.
Brought to you by your Missouri Illinois Dodge dealers. 1 out. A noisy middle of the game here. And here's Molina. Yadier's 2 for 2. Chris Denorfia, 25 years of age. 19th round draft choice by the Reds 3 years ago. Molina high in the air, hooking, foul. And again, the Cardinal bats are making noise. 12 runs on Friday. 9 runs on only 7 hits yesterday. 6 more runs on 10 hits today.
The booth just got smarter again.
That's debatable. One of our media favorites in St. Louis, Joe McGrain. Hey, buddy.
How's it going?
Good to see you.
I want to commend you guys because you have done so much.
Here we go.
Wait a minute. You have done so much with so little. You've done it. Listen, wait a minute. Without a producer, without a director, how have you done it?
We knew something like this was about to happen.
I'm just glad I wasn't on the short end of that comment. That's all I'm saying.
You know what? The only thing I'm wondering, how do people in St. Petersburg and Tampa Bay put up with you on TV 140 times a year?
They really don't. They really don't. It's hey, I come to terms very early.
Nunez with a bunt. Might be a hit. And the Cardinals have their 3rd hit of the inning. That's the first one that stayed in the ballpark. And we get down to the number 9 hole for Luna.
I was diagnosed with ADD, and once I lost interest in the disease, I feel like I'm fine.
All right.
Huh?
Now, you would never. You're a lot like Tom Mee, which thought that might scare you. You're not one to say a story 2 or 3 times.
No,
in the same
I've been
day,
doing television for the Tampa Bay Devil Rays 8 years, and not one repeated joke or not one repeated story.
Well, I know you're recycling all the stuff that you and I used that one year we were together on the network. I've heard that tired act.
Just working off the cue cards, and you know what? It was a thrill to work with what I call Segway Bob Carpenter, because he had worked on ESPN all those years, and there's a bouncing ball. Speaking of bouncing, don't forget to catch Georgia State on basketball on the Deuce.
It's the first time we've had a Bob Carpenter impersonation in the booth all year.
Yep.
That's a pretty good one.
I do the best I can with the little that I have. You know, your director, Tom Mee, lights up a room by leaving it.
Yeah.
You know,
I got to tell you what McGrain did to me one day. We're working in Florida. It's about 98 degrees. We're getting ready to do our open on camera. I have a short sleeve white shirt on with a dark tie. He looks at me and says, "You look like you should be working in the NASA control room." Yeah. I went out and got a pocket protector the next day.
Yeah, and it was the slide rule that also gave it away. Bob was very good to me, Ricky, and as were you. You did everything that you needed to do for a young player who was slightly overconfident.
Yeah. Maybe overconfident.
Are you appearing in an airport hotel somewhere tonight?
We're here just every night off the Pennsylvania Turnpike, and we'd like for you. You should try the veal. It is very good.
Well, so Joe, I can't. It's hard to be serious around Joe, but I do want to ask you.
Yeah.
You've been around this game now as a broadcaster for a long time. Do you really remember how it felt to be in a situation as a young pitcher, pitching Game 7 of a World Series, a guy winning an ERA title at a young age? I mean, you were a guy that really was on top of the world as a young man. And does that ever just strike you at times just to be as an unbelievable experience?
How about this? Joe McGrain's 5-minute answer when we come back for the next half inning. How about this inning for the Cardinals? Reggie ties it up with a shot to center. Chris Duncan's first major league homer, a no-doubter, and after 5, it's the Cards ahead of the Reds on a day of home runs, 6-5.
That crack bat is brought to you by Woods Basement Systems. If you have a crack in your basement foundation, call the experts at Woods Basement Systems for foundation and wet basement repairs.
Wow. We thought it was only appropriate to have you read that outstanding drop-in. You got a chance, I think.
What was the question you asked me, Ricky?
The question I asked you was not only can you read Joe McGrain.
Can you guys get around to it sometime today?
So grateful for the visit, but you know, you were a great pitcher. There's no doubt about that, and you were in as a young guy in some pretty interesting situations.
I was talking with, actually, you know, I can't remember if it was Robert De Niro or Johnny Carson told me, Joe, nobody likes a name dropper, but I was talking with Jerry Royce over in the suites. And about how much hey, I'm trying to tell a story, Bob. How much I appreciate and always cherish, because there's nothing I ever wanted to do since I was a little kid than do big league baseball. And I had a chance to meet my idol, Steve Carlton, during the World Series, and have since seen him. And he was, a lot of people have, you know, horror stories about meeting their idol, or they've been, you know, nonplussed about that. Lefty has been nothing but great for me. I've grown up my entire life a huge fan of the game. And when Pujols hit a home run the other day, and just to hear this roar, because we do so many games at Tropicana Field where there isn't anything like that with the electricity, it sends chills down my spine, and I always feel fortunate that I had the opportunity to be in the line of fire.
And you did it at such a high level. ERA champion, people forget about that.
That was okay. You know what? And being around guys like you, and I think I was the only rookie coming up at that time, and like I said, I was a cocky kid, and there's that old proverb that the nail that sticks up is hammered down, and you guys absolutely wore me out, and it was just about giving it back to the game.
Rich Gould would like to chime in. Rich?
Well, I've been talking with Cardinals president Mark Lamping, who hasn't forgotten Joe McGrain, and in fact has invited Joe back to tear down another number this November 21st.
At what, the Bowling Hall of Fame? Are they closing that now too? Or?
There'll be some number on the rubble here, and you're invited to just come. It's like Tuesday at 2 in the afternoon. No, there won't be any cameras or anything, but just come and tear it off.
Well, that sounds a lot like Joe's photo shoot that was set up by the guys with GQ.
Ozzie Smith and Tom Bernansky pulled that prank, and Ricky Horton was there. Speaking of just abusing people, I'm changing into all these wool outfits at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's 140 down on the turf, and he's going, well, how's it going? You look good in these suits and everything. And
it was just a mistake. We just
a simple understanding.
Yeah, simple misunderstanding, not done on purpose whatsoever.
But I heard you got the last laugh because when GQ found out about it, they actually came and did a little photo shoot with you.
And it was so tough for that entire offseason to keep my mouth shut. And then I put the advance copies on everyone's chair down in at Al Lane Field in St. Petersburg. And the look on Earl Osborne's face, that vertically challenged little short guy, that is Ozzie Smith. What is he, 70 now? Where is he? How come you haven't had him? Have you had him on?
We had Ozzie on from the box on Friday night after his Go Crazy homer was shown on the board.
Well,
you know, a guy hits one career homer from one side of the plate. You got to show it.
Deal.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's like Terry Jacks singing, "We had joy, we had fun, we had seasons in the sun." Ozzie keeps seeing a medley of his one hit all the time.
Tough play for Reyes. Al slips. He's all right. And it's a good thing he wasn't actually throwing the ball when he went down. I don't know where that thing would have ended up.
You realize this pitcher, Al Reyes, Joe, was a guy that the Tampa Bay folks had a chance at keeping, who actually went to spring training with him, and they found that he wasn't able to make that staff. He's been unbelievable this year for the Cardinals.
Unfortunately, that's been a recurring theme. There's a lot of guys who've gone on to have good seasons on other ball clubs. Jorge Sosa, another guy with the Atlanta Braves. Todd Jones with the Marlins. What am I saying here?
Made some bad choices. Well, one of the things, new guys to make choices next year. Lou Piniella not coming back.
Nope. He's going to be the most highly sought after manager. He just has just unbelievable skills, not only in running a game, but a lot like from my own experiences, Whitey Herzog was. He could make the 25th guy feel like the #1 guy, and was just like that guy on the Ed Sullivan Show about keeping all those plates spinning on a stick at the same time. He was just masterful at that.
You're too young to remember that.
Like I said, I'm working off the cue cards here.
Some things never change.
There are some things changing in the American League. Red Sox now lead 6-0. And they're in the bottom of the ninth. How'd you like that
Segway Bob?
Segway Bob. There he's at it again. You know?
Oh, my gosh. Every broadcasting school in the nation needs to see this half inning.
I'm Bob Carpenter, and I'm a member of the Broadcast Center.
How did I get through a season with this man?
You know,
I don't think you did.
The only problem with
That's
Joe's
what therapy's for.
With Joe's jokes is you have to hear the same ones tomorrow.
I
so
know.
There's just something about it.
Yeah.
When can I leave?
Now. Huh? 2 balls and a strike. You're watching Cardinal Baseball on KPLR TV, KPLR DT, digital television, right here in St. Louis. Bob Carpenter, Rick Horton, Rich Gould, our in-booth guest not long for this game, Joe McGrain.
Well said.
Great thrill to meet your wife last night, poor woman.
Well, I'm really messed up. I'm Irish. I married an Italian. I have 3 women in the house, two daughters, and I have 0 voting rights. And I've been told that get used to it. You know, that's how it's going to be.
Know that feeling. You got a cough switch right there, by the way.
Oh, can I do this? I've never done this. Holy cow, Steve! How can they make Budweiser this cheap and this good?
Oh, that was a really good Rich Gould. Nice job.
I know. Yeah, you know.
Somewhere Harry Carey's frowning right now.
Well, and somewhere Rich Gould is Beechwood aging. Open his mic. Where is he?
Hiding. You can't find me.
We know where you are.
You don't know anything.
Oh, my.
I'm studying this game. I'm a student of the game, Joe.
Oh.
Carpenter, a few years back, he was telling the story how they named a town after him, St. Robert. And I said, Bob, they named one after me, too. Bourbon.
It's right down the road. Oh, my.
Oh,
Well,
man.
Folks, I hope you realize what's going on here. We're just giddy because it's the last day at Busch Stadium. This is too much.
And Bob, God bless Rich Gould. He must have $100 tied up in clothes.
You ever meet Henny Youngman?
No, but take my wife, please.
St. Rene, having to put up with you.
Yes, I would completely agree with that. And again, I don't know if I said this earlier, but I want to reiterate how great of a job I think you guys do doing this without a producer or a director. And it's got to be one of the only places in baseball that you're working that way, right?
It's a special talent shared by the both of us.
Are they killing the mics yet?
Yeah, we're getting close. And the fans are like, yeah, do it, do it. The hitter is Felipe Lopez, 2 on, 2 out. Indians' season is over. Cleveland has lost at home 3-1. The Boston Red Sox, the wild card team in the American League.
We just came from there doing the Devil Rays games where they took 2 out of 3 there. I was really hoping the Indians were going to get in. That was an exciting team.
Yeah.
They have a great bullpen, and I thought they really could have scared some people with the short series, with that short series mentality. They could have really, really brought a lot.
Well, the White Sox really quieted down their bats. They were swept in that weekend series.
Wow.
On a foul tip, the count's 0-2.
Well, Joe, you were there last night at that party. Some people that you enjoyed seeing last night that you hadn't seen in a while.
It all, you know, from those guys from the '85 team. I wasn't on that team, and it was the thing that's really been neat about this whole weekend is it's like there's a lot of hugs and handshakes, and we just picked up right where we were, and it was like there was no time in between. It was just like we were all back at the same time again. And to be honest, I think it really was a different time in the '80s. Nowadays players get paid a lot of money, and I think sometimes if the bus broke down, there'd be 25 cabs called. But everyone really hung out as an entire group, and I think that that part of it is the part that I missed the most about the game.
Well, there's crazy stuff going on in Houston right now. The Cubs got 2 in the top of the 6th to take the lead, but now Houston re-grabbing the lead. We'll give you the latest update. Our buddy Doug Stanton is checking it all out for us. Right now the scoreboard here says 6-4 Houston. Astros still batting bottom of the 6th.
You think these guys, the hard cards, have had it clinched for so long? Do you think that they're battle tough and ready for the postseason? You know what I mean?
If anybody can keep them that way, it'd be Tony La Russa. That's something he actually said, Joe. He told us that he felt that it was all positive that they clinched early because he could rest the guys when he needed to. He could set up his rotation the way he wanted to. And, I don't know whether he was just looking at it as the glass half full, but he felt like that was nothing but positives. But we know, if there's not something to play for when you show up, it's a little bit different way to approach a game.
It takes you a while to flip that switch.
Yeah. 2 on, 2 out. Hey, Joe, it's been great having you with us. I sincerely hope our new ballpark lasts long enough so that we don't have to do this again.
And I know exactly what you mean by that, and I take that to heart.
But Tony did say he knew that you were coming into town, which he thought would really heighten the energy level of his ball
and
club.
Security.
Yeah, and so I think he felt like it would create a playoff atmosphere because Joe McGrain was in the house.
Well, I think, like sands through the hourglass, moving through a sea of change, this stadium really has transcended, Bob, the vicissitudes of time, if you could segue that.
Speaking of time, it's 3:11 in St. Louis.
And the Suppan word of the day was not even in that diatribe.
No.
What is his word of the day?
We're not revealing that till the 9th inning because it has something to do with the latter stages.
And it's French, so it's a little beyond you.
Okay.
Something's not right on the mound with Al Reyes. Maybe from the fall. Barry Weinberg out. Tony's on his way out. Al had that ball hit off him. He charged straight forward. As he got to the ball, thinking about a throw, he slipped, and now they're going to go ahead and go to the bullpen. Al Reyes will leave with a 3-2 count.
Here is that last pitch from Al Reyes. Cardinals can ill afford to lose Reyes out of the pen. He just kind of stands up, acts like he may have pulled a hamstring. It's kind of stopped his follow through, and may have been something he did feeling that ball in front of the mound. And Cardinals can only hope that he is not going to have any ill effects from that fall. Certainly changed the postseason bullpen decision.
Randy Flores on his way in. He'll get some time to warm up here. Just our luck. McGrain, and now we have time to fill. This portion of Cardinal Baseball with our great standing room only fans, brought to you by your Lexus dealer and the new 2006 GS. Your quality Ford dealers and you equal Cardinal fun. And Hyundai, driven by a commitment to quality that lets them offer America's best warranty. 50,434 today. That is more than 1,000 over the capacity of Busch Stadium. A lot of folks just kind of standing wherever they can get a spot today, Rick. And we have a really neat interactive question today from Mike Shaywacker. Mike, we hope we got your name right, in Webster Groves.
It has to do with our friend number 11, Jose Oquendo. And he wants to know, when all the former Cardinal players take their positions after the game today, where in the world is Jose Oquendo going to go? Is he just going to run around all the bases or what? Well, that's a great question.
That is nice going, Mike. You get our care package from Hair Saloon for Men.
The answer to follow.
Randy Flores gets credit for the strikeout with one pitch to Felipe Lopez. And we're going to go to the bottom of the 6th inning. The Cardinals on top, 6-5. Here comes Oz. Well, we all knew who number 1 should be, Rick Horton, and it's a guy you had the pleasure of playing with, the Wizard of Oz.
One of the greatest ever to play this game. Tremendous defensive player, acrobatic, a money player, a guy that prepared as well as anybody before a game to be ready for what would happen at 7 o'clock. Ozzie Smith, what an honor it was to be able to be in the same uniform as that man, and deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. And the fans here just love him to death as he was going around in the car. Just really thunderous applause here, and Ozzie deserves it. And the number is now 0.
How neat is that? And if you don't think Busch Stadium is special, folks, I have a story here in a second that will knock your socks off. David Eckstein, So Taguchi, and Albert Pujols in the bottom of the 3rd inning. I'm sorry, the 6th. Top 3 in the bottom of the 6th. And the new pitcher is Jason Standridge of the Reds. David is 0 for 3 today. This one up the middle for Felipe Lopez. Chris Duncan hit his first major league home run last inning. The ball was caught by a young man by the name of Ryan Gaughan. He is the grandson of Aggie Siriati, one of our wonderful ladies who works here at Busch Stadium.
Is that right?
So I think Chris Duncan might be able to find that home run ball. Ryan Gaughan is here with his cousin Robbie and Andrew Siriati. Isn't that unbelievable? So a Cardinal family member catches Chris's first home run ball, and hopefully he'll get that baby back. Here's So Taguchi plugging the gap. Might be thinking about 3 here. He'll pull up and stop, as Austin Kearns did a good job of getting that ball back in quickly. First base is open with Albert walking in. So a little Busch Stadium magic is at work today in a couple of different ways.
So Taguchi providing a little magic. First ball hitting like he's been doing a lot lately, plugging the gap. He has such a sweet, easy swing. Hits the ball in the right spot. Considered 3, settled for 2, which I imagine will result in the walking of Albert Pujols. And what do you think the fans are going to think about Albert Pujols being walked intentionally?
Boo.
That's a good rendition.
That'll be the first boos we heard since McGrain left our booth. Got a nice note.
Since he came into the booth or since he left the booth?
All right, here they go.
See, these fans are so smart, they started booing before the catcher even stood up because they knew he was going to do it. So they were warming up their boos.
Hey, that's okay, because when they announce Reggie, you'll hear some cheers. Reggie Sanders having another big day with a home run. He'll be next with 2 on, 1 out here in the 6th. Post-Dispatch proud to offer Busch Stadium Moments, a collection of events and photos from the 40 years. It's available for $34.95 or $5 cheaper if you're a Post-Dispatch subscriber. Go to stltoday.com/Busch Book or call 1-800-329-0224. The ball has already been returned. Our guys in the truck just talked to Aggie, a wonderful Cardinal gal, and that ball will be in Chris Duncan's locker, if not already. How about that? By the way, if you're keeping score, Duncan was hitting for the pitcher in the number 5 spot after the Cardinals made a double switch when Hector Luna pinch hit in the bottom of the 5th and then stayed in to play right field. Now this is Reggie, 2 for 3 with a double, a homer, and 2 runs scored.
The assistant trainer for the Cardinals back in the day, Doc Bowman, used to take the first home runs, first hits, first wins, and he would draw almost just amazingly clear rendition of what happened in that game. He did the box score, he put the winning pitcher, he did it in multicolors, and really made great mementos for the players, and really appreciate the little things that people do to help make those moments last forever. I still have some of those balls in my office, and just again appreciated him doing that. And this, you know, it's important to the whole team. It's important to Chris Duncan, but people really sharing in that moment with him.
2-0 to Reggie. It's a good hitter's count. They're in the 9th inning at Washington. Philadelphia 5-3. If they win that game, they're going to go in the clubhouse and watch the television to see if they're playing tomorrow. Right now, the Astros lead the Cubs at the 7th inning stretch, 6-4. Sanders pops one up to right field. Red Sox have won the wild card in the American League with their really not having to do a whole lot other than leading 6-0 in their ball game against the Yankees. Cleveland swept at home by the White Sox this weekend, losing 3-1 today. We're going to see John Mabry right here.
John Mabry, one of the very popular Cardinal players in the clubhouse, but also among fans. I think they just appreciate kind of the blue-collar attitude that he has. He just shows up, stays ready. Has had 8 home runs and limited at-bats and activity in the season. But there were times where John was had to play 3-4 days in a row as a result of some injuries. So every one of these Cardinals has made contributions to be a part of this very successful season, trying to win game number 100. It'd be a great feat, and they'd all have a piece of it.
We were in Milwaukee last weekend when the Brewers were trying to have a winning season. Well, they didn't quite do it. They lost 3-1 at Pittsburgh today. They finish at 81-81. But they did not have a losing season, and that's a nice thing for the Brewers. Mabry lays off that breaking ball. Albert will just trot down to second base. They'll have to call it a wild pitch.
Well, Bob, I finally caught up in my scorebook with all of our visitors today. We've had Tim Jones and Joe McGrain up here. In fact, I've caught up on my scorebook, and I also have gotten all of the Joe McGrain jokes written down because I didn't want to forget any one of those. I got a nice little journal going here.
Rich Gould, Beechwood Aging. That's the one that got me.
Oh, what a treat Joe is.
Oh. Poor Dwayne Stats, our St. Louis area buddy, who's his partner down in Tampa Bay with the Devil Rays. High breaking ball. Eighth inning now. Cubs batting down 6-4 at Houston. So we still have some National League drama unfolding this afternoon. John Mabry 0 for his last 15. That's tough when you're a part-time guy. But his home run in Cincinnati that keyed that miracle ninth-inning rally, that'll be a long time before that one's forgotten. Second and third, 2 outs, and a 2-2 coming. Gave John Mabry a real dose of breaking balls there, did Jason Standridge. Cardinals fail to score. They've left 8 runners today. We move to the 7th, 6-5, Albert and the Redbirds. Trivia from Schnucks, where shopping is easy. The first inside the park home run at Busch Stadium. Let's answer it right now. Was it a Cardinal? Yes, it was. Maxey.
I knew Dal Maxfield had a very important home run at this stadium. We tried him yesterday on the trivia question, didn't we? First grand slam, but it was the inside the Parker that he had.
How about that?
We had another very intelligent visitor and another left-hander.
The pride of Rittner High School, St. Louis, and Jerry Royce, now living in Vegas. Good to see you, partner.
Bob Carpenter, former partner, great to see you. And former teammate Rick Horton, great to see you.
We had fun together, didn't we, with the White Sox? We didn't win very many games. Actually, you won a lot of games.
Well, we did. We did well, though. We had, at least we may have led the league in having fun. There's no doubt about that. Three left-handers we had: Horton, Royce, and LaPointe. You figure that out. Take it from there.
Dave LaPointe, another sick man.
Yeah, Dave used to say that when we played in Chicago, he would leave his place and head towards Rush Street, and I would head towards the Art Museum. We had slightly different personalities, but we just got along like you wouldn't believe, and we did too, Jerry.
That's right.
Slightly different personalities, but we all were teammates fighting together.
Now let's have you left-handers talk about what Ray King's going through here. What needs to happen for him, because he's really been struggling even against left-handed batters.
Well, Jerry never struggled in his career, but I certainly did. And one of the things that you worry most about is what goes on between the ears. And there's a lot of physical things that happen, but is Ray feeling confident enough to be able to throw that slider, or does he have those little doubts in the back of his head? Jerry, what goes on between the ears is very important for a pitcher.
You have to get that settled first and then work on the mechanics. What got you here? Was it the fastball? If it is, where do you start? You go with your best location and you rebuild from there. If it's away from a left-handed batter, that's the pitch you start with. You build the count from there.
Rebuilding is a great word for pitching. That's really what you did with your career when you went back to the White Sox after great years with L.A.
Well, there was a lot of rebuilding. Had a lot of time to do it over the course of 22 years. A lot of good seasons, a lot of bad seasons, but all in all, it lasted 22 different years with 8 different ball clubs. And the beauty of it was not only playing the game, but meeting all of the different people. I had a good conversation with Paul Molitor the last year I was with Milwaukee. This is 1989. He came to me and he asked me, he said, do you think it's more of an advantage to be with one organization or a number? And I said, you can tell me about one organization, but it gave me a chance to play alongside Hall of Famers like Lou Brock, Bob Gibson, Willie Stargell.
Adam Dunn, fly ball right field. Looks like it'll stay in. Luna right in front of the wall, kind of turning one way then the other. And Ray King needs some success here, and that's a badly needed first out. By the way, your Quality Ford dealers and you, with the out-of-town scoreboard there a moment ago, you had 220 major league wins, right?
How about that?
For a guy from Rittner, that's pretty good.
I remember your 200th win very well.
Oh, I
Jerry.
do too. It was your best quote. It's the one you're most noted for, that's for sure.
Yeah, maybe my only one. We'll talk about that after the break.
All right, Ray King's going to leave. Hey, that's a successful outing for Ray. He got a big power left-handed batter. More Cardinal bullpen, more Jerry Royce ahead.
It's the Chrysler.
Right after our game today, stay with us. We're going to have a great post-game ceremony show for you. We'll present some of our most memorable players, a few left-handed pitchers included. Former, current players, Busch Stadium history. I'll have the chance to be down on the field, talk to some of the guys. That'll be a lot of fun. And here's Julian Tavares. He will be the Cardinals' 7th pitcher of the day.
He had a great outing his last time out, did Tavares, and he'd like to finish strong here. And talking about finishing strong, Jerry Royce, you certainly did that with your career. I think of you with your great years as a Los Angeles Dodger, and you coming in here and pitching so many great games. 1985, that whole series, you had a great rotation. You were a part of that. What do you remember about that playoff series in '85?
I remember Jack Clark I'm standing down in the bullpen right alongside Ken Howell. We're getting ready. We've got the lineup card there, trying to figure out what Whitey's going to do, because we knew that Lasorda said if there's a situation where we have to pitch to Jack Clark with a runner in scoring position in a tight ball game, we're going to walk him.
Yeah, he did say that.
He did say that, but
he didn't do it.
But Tommy had a hunch. He had a thought. He decided to stay with Edenfjord, and the rest, they say, is Cardinal history.
Tommy, definitely a hunch guy. He had a hunch with Kirk Gibson that turned out pretty well. You're not going to get them all right. But my quote about Jerry Royce after his 200th win, Bob, I went over to his locker. He had reporters all around him, smile from ear to ear, and I told Jerry, the veteran guy on our team, as a young guy myself, I thought I was young. I was at the end of my career, too, just didn't know it. But I said, Jerry, you're going to be able to tell your grandchildren about this win someday. In fact, why don't you get them on the phone right now? And it kind of deflated the moment for Jerry just a tad.
But you know what? With all the pranks he pulled on people over the years, probably well-deserved at that point.
Oh, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It was a great quote, and I was in the need of a great quote. And he came up with one, the most memorable one that Ricky Horton could come up with.
Yeah, well, the point was rubbing off on them. You know, we had some good young pitchers. Melito Perez, Jack McDowell.
How about that? Yeah, we saw the emergence of Jack McDowell shortly thereafter. Well, you were gone, but Alex Fernandez came along, and the White Sox were starting to come into their own, at least that generation of the White Sox. But then I think everything was wiped out for them, and they had to restart things after the strike in 1994. But we have the prospects now. We're on the verge of a possibility of a White Sox and a Cardinal World Series.
How about that?
How does it get better than that?
We'd be interested in that, wouldn't we?
Hey, folks, don't run away from the TV when the third out's made here, which will be right in a moment. We thought that John Mabry might come in and grab that. We're going to have a very special seventh inning stretch. And a member of the Smith family who can croon a little will be part of that.
You don't want to miss that. You do not want to miss that. Jerry, I know.
And it's not Lonnie.
I hope not. You being a part of this weekend, Jerry, as a guy who not only played for the Cardinals but grew up here in St. Louis, does that make it more special that you understand the St. Louis connection maybe more than most folks?
Absolutely, because I remember as a kid going to Old Sportsman Park and sitting on the third base side cheering for the Cardinals. Back in those days, though, we had double headers. You remember those?
Oh, I do.
Faintly, don't you?
Faintly.
But I would go to a double header and watch.
My grandfather told me about him.
Thank you. I appreciate it. There he is again. Horton at his best.
Wow.
But saw the double headers, and I could remember in high school when this ballpark was being built. In fact, it was a family field trip to drive downtown to take a look and see how far the ballpark has come along. So I saw it when it was going up, and I have a chance to see the new ballpark going up, so you can understand how a tangent is drawn from my past, my personal past, to current Cardinal history.
That's wonderful.
Cool. Hey, Jerry, you're doing some broadcasting in Vegas right now, and you have been for a while.
Oh, I've enjoyed it. Just this past year, I had a total knee replacement. Couldn't be a pitching coach any longer, and once I was able to drive, it was a chance to go back down and get my chops on radio doing some play-by-play as well as color, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, I think, more now than I did back when we worked together at ESPN.
How all these left-handers keep getting in the booth? What's with that, Bob?
They just must be smarter than everybody else.
I don't think it is. Why is it that you have all the left-handers working with you?
Well, you know, they need rehab is what they need.
There it is.
Psychological rehab, Jerry.
I can't argue with that.
Jerry and I used to have a little thing we did. We would draw a little circle in our scorebook, and when one of us spouted a cliche during the telecast, the other guy would reach over and bang him with that.
During the telecast?
And then we used to keep track of who dropped the most cliches during a telecast.
Who
and the loser usually had to buy dinner or something after the game, and I had to buy very seldom.
Good thing that button wasn't here when McGrain was here with us a couple of innings ago.
You know, but the things you do to have a little fun.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you're doing those late night West Coast games, and you may have maybe a half dozen people on the eastern part of the country watching. So you've got to make it exciting, and if you can't make it exciting from what's happening on the field,
do it up here.
Exactly. It's exactly what we do. Why, the first time I saw this ballpark, as a rookie back in 1969 when I came up. I remember the gray walls and how drab it looked compared to the way that it looks right now. When I look up there and see that scoreboard span across center field.
Gorgeous park, isn't it?
It still is. And there are a lot of people that wonder, why do we have to get rid of it? But
hey, Jerry, thanks, buddy. Great to see you.
Always great to see you, Bob. And Rick, I'll see you down on the field in a little while, won't I?
We'll see you in a minute.
St. Louis boy, Jerry Reuss. And, folks, we have a special 7th-inning stretch because walking to the microphone right now is our favorite American Idol from around here, Nico Smith.
He filled in. Most recently, he became a well-known performer on American Idol. Here to sing God Bless America today is Nico Smith.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above, from the mountains to the prairies to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home sweet home. God bless America, my home sweet home.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the St. Louis Cardinals, LLC, may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of the game may not be disseminated without the expressed written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals, LLC. Mark Grudzielanek for the Cardinals, bottom of the 7th against Josh Hancock, the 3rd Cincinnati pitcher, and Mark's got a good-looking drive to left. It's off the wall on a fly. He's digging for 2. Good throw. They're going to get him. Well played by Ryan Friel in left field. Rich Gould making his usual visit late in the game to Big Mac Land.
Oh, you think so, but no, I'm just looking at them. Ronald McDonald was up there though earlier today. That was me dressed in the Ronald McDonald outfit. I'll bet you didn't know that. But the folks at Big Mac Land were having a wonderful time, and McDonald's is doing something very cool. Every time the Cardinals play and win in the playoffs, they're selling Big Macs for $1. $1 when the Cardinals play and win in the playoffs at participating McDonald's in the metro area, guys.
Well done. Well, we're supposed to say I'm loving it, right?
That's right.
Yadier Molina, 2 for 3.
Well, one thing the Cardinals are not loving is the early report on Al Reyes, who evidently has a slight elbow sprain, is what the early word is here up in the press box, and we'll try to find out more about the condition of Al Reyes, but that could be bad news for number 10. Al Reyes has been so good for this team. That's one thing that Tony wanted more than anything, was to avoid injury here this afternoon.
You know, and he did not attempt to throw on that ball when he slipped, but he had started his throwing motion.
Right.
And, well, we don't want to speculate on injuries and how they happen and all that, but that's a blow. Ball and 2 strikes to Yadier Molina. Looks like Yadi's really had an idea today to stay on the ball and go the other way. He got a base hit to right, stayed on one for a hit up the middle, and after striking out now, he grounds to the second base side.
You know, I actually think that's a big blow to the Cardinals. Not to be overly negative about it, but I think Al Reyes is a very important part of this ball club and what he does in the middle of the game. And this is not just an everyday guy that, you know, maybe an extra bench player that you don't need. Al Reyes is a guy that Tony La Russa needs. And if in fact he is not able to be eligible for the playoffs because of this injury, which I'd have to say would be a distinct possibility, then that saves the decision on who does not make the roster, makes Flores, Eldred, Thompson all safe, but really puts an extra bit of pressure on those guys to be worked in innings and situations that are a little bit out of their norm.
You're talking about two very young, unproven major league pitchers. Abraham Nunez, 2 for 3, RBI hit, a bunt for a hit. So a nice day for Abraham, now batting .286. That ball stays fair. Booted, picked up, thrown high, runner safe. Should be an error on Encarnacion. That'll be his 10th of the year, and the Reds with their 104th.
This is why you run them out. Sometimes the third baseman bobbles it and then compounds his error by throwing the ball high. Almost 2 errors on the same play by the third baseman Encarnacion. Abraham Nunez hustling down the line the whole way. Almost like it was too easy a play for the third baseman.
Yeah.
Sometimes that happens.
And Abraham not realizing immediately the ball was fair. It took him forever to get out of the batter's box. So it was a very easy play for Encarnacion to make. Here's Luna. Hey, got a nice note from Jeff Richardson. He's one of our ushers here at the ballpark down in the field boxes in section 135. His dad's birthday today. Charles Richardson, a happy 80th from your son Jeff and all of us down here at Busch Stadium.
We had a nice visit from Chris and Nicole Callan, also came up to say hello, and they came bearing gifts. Bob brought me a nice little figurine of me pitching that they made themselves, and it's almost in my likeness. He said he had a hard time finding a figure that actually had my throwing mechanics.
Not to mention the face.
To me, well, I think he painted me over somebody else is what he did. But it really looks nice. Really appreciate that.
Well, folks, it's official. The Cardinals will be playing San Diego because the Astros have just won their game to clinch the National League wild card in Houston, beating the Cubs. It'll be Houston at Atlanta, San Diego at St. Louis, and we expect a day game on Tuesday and another game on Thursday. Haven't seen the Padres a whole lot this year. They're going to wait till their game's finished today before they get on that plane to St. Louis. They did score. I had them flying here before their game earlier. They did get a run in the bottom of the first inning.
That's how good they are.
Brian Bartow tells us Tuesday morning rosters have to be set, and that's usually noon Eastern time. We'll wait and see on that.
There'll be a workout here already been scheduled for the Cardinals tomorrow. The team will take batting practice, have a short workout. I'm sure part of that time will be to evaluate the condition of Al Reyes more fully and see if this is a one-day little thing. Is it a 1-week recover thing, or is it a 2-week recovery thing, or worse? And I know they're not taking any chances, so even if it was just a slight twinge, they're going to take them out. So we don't want to speculate on how serious it is, but certainly hope for Al Reyes and for the sake of the Cardinals that he's able to pitch in the playoffs.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Luna getting his 3rd at bat of the day. Chris Carpenter this time a year ago was getting ready to sit out the whole postseason. A crippling blow to the Cardinal rotation. I mean, the Cardinals did well to get to the World Series without Chris Carpenter. There's no doubt about that. We don't want to slight what Woody Williams and Matt Morris and all those other guys did. I mean, they got the Cardinals to the series.
But you're just missing a piece.
Luna with a base hit. The runner was moving on the play. Nunez to third. Oquendo will hold it. 1st and 3rd, 2 outs.
When we talk about the importance of each one of the pieces on a team, the Cardinals have really had a history of having guys ineligible for the playoffs. You can look way back. You can talk about Terry Pendleton and
Coleman, of course.
Coleman, as Luna takes that slider, kind of bails a little bit with his lower half, but still has a good enough swing at the pitch. Hits the ball hard. 3-2 pitch. But Scott Rowland, another guy ineligible for the playoffs. Jack Clark, another one. You know, the '87 Cardinal team had a lineup for the 7th game of the World Series that was not the lineup that got us to that point, and injuries were a part of it.
That goes way back to '64. Julian Javier got hurt, and young Dal Maxville had to replace him. Something about the postseason, the Cardinals have just always been victimized with a key player. Knock on wood that it won't happen right here, although Rowland, of course, is already lost. Top of the order, David Eckstein. All of a sudden, David is 0 for his last 8 after a big night here Friday. Eckstein with a liner to left. That'll drive in a run. That's a big run, and the Cardinals lead 7-5. That's an unearned run, of course, because of the 2-out error. David Eckstein collects his 61st RBI of the year.
Got a lot of RBIs out of the first spot in the batting order. 61 RBIs is pretty tremendous for a guy who's not a power hitter, who leads off. And the defense for the Reds starts the inning off well, throwing out Grudzielanek at second base on a ball hit into the corner. Very nice play by the left fielder Friel.
You know how many RBIs Tony Womack had last year when we thought he had such a great year?
48.
38.
Wow.
So how good is David Eckstein now? Getting closer to 100 wins. Long way to go in this game, though. Albert, you saw him on deck. He'd love to bat here, licking his chops with some guys on base. So Taguchi's had a walk, a sac fly, and a double today. Right side near the line. Now foul and caught by Aaron Holbert. And Albert will lead off the 8th. Cardinals pick up a big unearned run. To the 8th we go. It's 7-5 St. Louis. 5th inning. Big hit of the game. It's Major League homer #1 for Chris Duncan. And it's brought to you by Jeep. Trail rated capability only in a 4x4.
It'll be a big hit of the game, but probably the biggest hit of his life. And I'm sure that Dave Duncan's first hit that he had in the big leagues, his first home run in the big leagues, wasn't as joyous as that moment right there. There's a proud papa. Yeah. That's my boy. That's my boy.
You know, that's the lead run right now.
Game-winning hit. Game-winning RBI.
That was the Cardinals' 6th run of the game. 7-5 now. Top of the 8th. Bottom of the order. Denorfia, Holbert, and then a pinch hitter for the Reds in the #9 hole. Sounded like a busted bat out to short for Eckstein, and out #1. Julian Tavares still on the mound.
Kenda and Christopher Lamer are here celebrating their 1st anniversary. They're from Jackson, Missouri. Want to say hello to their friends back home.
I'd like to pass along our condolences on the death of the broadcasting career of Joe McGrain.
Oh boy. That is just funny.
I'm still wiping away a few tears from that guy. Oh.
Well, if you'd have to live with him for 6 months, you'd be crying a lot being around that guy.
Gosh. I only saw him once a week when we were working together. Aaron Holbert. He's 1 for 2 with an RBI hit and intentional walk. Aaron Holbert just trying to showcase for the Reds or anybody else out there who might be watching and needing a 32-year-old infield. Cardinal baseball, just short of the 4 o'clock hour on KPLR TV, KPLR DT in St. Louis.
There's a guy we're not able to see. He makes me think of Rex Hudler talking about Aaron Holbert as a young infielder, a lot of years in the minor leagues, finally getting his chance and making a contribution in his 30s. Rex Hudler did that, but he's doing games still, Major League Baseball. I believe he's still doing the California games. And so he was unable to be here this weekend. Would love to have seen Rex Hudler. Another fan favorite.
The Wonder Dog. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Holbert. Jacob Cruz is in the on-deck circle here in the 8th.
We may be looking at the elevated importance of Julian Taveras with Al Reyes' injury. We may see Taveras become more of a 2-inning pitcher instead of just a 1-inning guy. He's been an 8th inning pitcher, but Tony La Russa may use him earlier.
Eckstein charges. High throw. That'll be an E6. I think even if Albert catches that ball, by the time he comes down, Aaron Holbert would have beaten that ball out. That'll be the Cardinals' 2nd error of the day and their 99th of the year. A final reminder, you can get in on some in-game alerts, scores, breaking news, postseason, more on your mobile phone. That's how you do it. Text and then end up at MLB Geo. Charges will appear on your mobile phone bill.
And I think you should text your favorite idol after that rendition by Nico Smith in the 7th inning. I know I'm texting his number. What a great job he did here. A couple of magical things going on here as Tony La Russa comes out, and he'll make a pitching change.
Albert will also depart first base.
It's like Schumacher perhaps going to right. Tyler Johnson.
Cardinals will employ their 8th pitcher of the day. There's our buddy Don Lucy. Cardinal Baseball, a production of Bud Sports, an exclusive presentation of WB11. Don calling his shots down there. Dale Lopino. He's the guy you see on the scoreboard with the nachos all the time. Dave Sonnenberg. Oh, our audio genius, Jeff Amos. There's our graphics guru, Doug Stanton. Jeannie Andrews, keeping him straight. There's our guy who makes those cameras look good,
yeah.
Rich Kiefer, shading those things.
Ladies and gentlemen, job well done. Thank you very much for all your support throughout the year. You guys do a great job. You're pros. You make us laugh.
And evidently
once a week.
Evidently the camera ran out of battery power before it got to the director's chair and the producer.
They're a little shy.
Tyler Johnson throws one upstairs to Jacob Cruz, left-handed hitting a Cincinnati outfielder.
Tyler Johnson is perhaps the Cardinal left-hander of the future. Has very good stuff, throws hard, a lot of life on his fastball, kind of an excitable type. And if they could harness his energy and harness his great ability, he shows the hard slider also. He's a guy with a future. The Oakland A's saw that. That's why they drafted him out of the minor leagues. In the Rule 5 draft, they didn't quite think he was ready to keep him, so they have to give him back. It costs them a little bit of money, but Cardinals end up reaping the rewards of having him back in their system this year. Yeah. And he looks like he's very close to being ready.
He told me a couple of weeks ago that he really saw the difference in major league organizations, the way everything is handled in Oakland, where, you know, the Moneyball thing, pinching pennies, taking shortcuts, but in St. Louis and this organization top to bottom, he told me you can really tell the difference. And he also appears to be a teachable and eager to learn young man Rick, because he told me he's hanging out around the veteran guys and he's trying to soak up whatever he can from those guys.
And that's going to happen on a team, and that's an important part of having smart veterans on your team. Not just veterans, but guys that know how to play the game right. Some guys are better than others at that, but it also makes me think of those young players again last night over at the Renaissance Hotel here, hanging out with the Cardinal veterans, Wainwright, Gall, Seabold, understanding that the Cardinals do things right even with their alumni. And I think they realize they're a part of something special by being able to wear the birds on your chest.
This game is far from over. 2 on, 1 out of the 8th. We're saluting our Bud Sports production crew for a job well done this year. There's our director, Tom Mee, on the right. Mike Helling, our producer.
No, he looks like he's asleep on the left, doesn't he?
I think so. And Kim Everly,
natural pose,
looking at Mike as if to say, what is he doing?
Wake up, Mike.
We love you guys.
And not just because we have to.
We got a nice note from Thelma Obermeyer of Belleville, Illinois. She says she was born a Cardinal fan in 1924. She loves Game Day magazine, loves the Cardinals, and she dropped off a couple of handmade little Cardinal birds that she knitted for us today. I may have to drop one of those on my shirt a little.
So when you're born a Cardinal fan, does the doctor say, not it's a boy, it's a girl? Do they say, it's a Cardinal fan?
It's a Cardinal fan.
How about that? And she's one of them.
2 on, 1 out. Top of the 8th and a 2-0 count. This is a little juncture of the game that's got us a little uneasy right now. There was an error and a walk after the first out, and suddenly the Cardinals' 7-5 lead is in jeopardy. The Phillies won their game 9-3 in Washington. It did them no good. Houston took care of business. They're celebrating at Minute Maid Park, a 6-4 win over the Cubs that clinches the wild card for Houston. So, you know, the Central, the division that so many people don't like to give much respect to.
Comedy Central.
Second year in a row, 2 teams in.
Yeah, I think that certainly came out of the early part of the season when the division was getting beat up, but Cardinals certainly distinguished themselves as that bat goes flying out of the hands of Roger Friel.
No, you're thinking of Roger Freed.
Roger Freed. Ryan Friel.
There you
Roger
go.
Freed is a former Cardinal.
Where's Roger Freed?
Exactly.
Where is Roger?
You know, seeing some of these guys and hearing some stories, been reminded this weekend of teammates that we forgot we had. Like, oh yeah, he was on that team, wasn't he?
Yeah. 3-2 pitch. This is a big one right here. Hey, it turns out pretty well. A high fastball for a strikeout. That's the second out of the inning.
Well, Tyler Johnson looked like he was being a little fine early in the count and then decides to go right at Friel. Fastball, borderline strike. It's amazing. Sometimes, Bob, young guys come to the big leagues and their control is not as good because they try do a little bit too much. Guys in the minor leagues, they throw strike, 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 get to the big leagues, feel like they have to do something different. This kid's stuff is good enough. He can go right at hitters.
Another dangerous guy here in Felipe Lopez, who's had himself a nice weekend. A couple of home runs. Batting .291 with 23 homers, 85 driven in. Don't forget, Albert will be leading off the 8th for the Cards. Johnson almost got the hitter to bite. So in the American League, the Red Sox are now leading 10-1 in the 7th. They're just partying at Fenway now. They're the wild card no matter what. After the Indians were beaten. No playoffs tomorrow. And Houston wins it in the National League.
And the co-division champs of the American League East.
Right. All right. Wow. Molina. How cat-like he had to be to get that climbing fastball.
Oh, watch this. Unbelievable. 90 miles an hour smoke. Molina's crouching, looking for the ball down. Whoops. and he's got to go about 4 feet with that glove in about a half a second and pick the right spot and catch that ball and hold on to it. Very good reflexes. You got to have reflexes if you're going to be a catcher. Johnson acting like he's pitching to Shaquille O'Neal here with the strike zone.
Maybe because it's October. I just had a Rick Ankiel flashback.
Oh, yeah, that's a bad thought, isn't it?
Hey, what about the year he had with the bat, making it to Double-A? A personal favorite of Tony's.
And a kid that enjoyed playing baseball this year, which to some degree is the most important element of that story.
3-1. Just off the plate, and look out, it's Adam Dunn walking in.
This game has seen a lot of base runners, 25 hits from both teams, and we're not done yet. And now control seeming to be an issue for the left-hander Tyler Johnson. Dave Duncan looks like he has the fatherly advice going right there, and trying to be encouraging, but also trying to set that level of expectation. Scott Terrios said earlier, you got to get back to doing the basic things right here and throw strikes and let something happen. And it's the importance of a pitching coach in the middle of the game. Sometimes you feel pretty lonely standing out there on the mound. You feel almost that you're the only one that you can turn to.
Only thing that has him in the game, he's left-handed, and the Cardinals have used their other lefties. A high strike to Adam Dunn. Adam Dunn 1 for 4 with a solo homer, his 40th. Aaron Holbert's at third. Jacob Cruz at second. Felipe Lopez behind him. None of them have hit their way aboard. An error and 2 walks. Good breaking ball, strike 2. It's about time for everybody to stand up here. Seeing Red Cruz coming up in November. Cardinal Greats is going to be a lot of fun on WB11. Ports a call around the Caribbean. There's the number. It's toll free 866-44-DAMAR. And that's the Seeing Red Cruz coming up this winter. Rick Horton is making his way to the field. Partner, great year. We'll see you down there. They're already starting the MVP chant here. As Albert Pujols will lead off the bottom of the 8th. Some pretty gutsy pitching there by Tyler Johnson. And like we did several years ago, I'm thinking about 3 years from 97 to 99. Rich is going to put on the headset and sit next to me like we did on the road those 3 years, and we had a lot of fun back then.
That was a blast.
And how about this? How about this day?
That was a blast, and this is an amazing day. And I'll tell you what, Bob, that standing ovation moments ago gave me chills and gave, I think, all Cardinals fans a taste of what it's going to be like here, hopefully for the next 3.5 weeks.
I hope so. Albert 0 for 3 with a walk. Good stab at third by Encarnacion. He lobs it, and I bet they give Albert a hit. You know what? We like to give a player of the game every game. Hey, Rich, how about our player of the year? Brought to you by Budweiser. Bright, crisp, clean, pure, the king of beers. He is the straw that stirs that drink here in St. Louis.
41 home runs for Albert. He got number 40 and 200, all in the same swing. He contends year in and year out for the batting title. And I think as voters turn in their ballots today, not tomorrow, not next week, not during the playoffs, today, if they look at it, they will pick Albert Pujols as their MVP. It's a tough vote. Andruw Jones has had a terrific season. But boy, oh boy, I tell you, Bob, one of the things that Albert does that can't go overlooked is leads the league virtually every year in runs scored. That is a statistic that nobody talks about.
Right. He plays the game with a lot of joy. I'll never forget him and that smile on his face jumping around coming out of the dugout about a month and a half ago on David Eckstein's grand slam, clearing out his teammates so that David would be able to touch home plate. Plays it with passion, runs the bases with passion, a little wildly at times, plays aggressively in the field.
And on the bases.
Oh, he kicks the dirt because he said, I had that thing stolen, and John Mabry fouled it off.
I was shocked today when I looked at some of the statistics and saw that Albert leads his team in stolen bases.
That would have been number 17. Watch his reaction. Mabry. That's funny. Hey, he knows. That's a 3-run lead possibly if he gets to second base and then a base hit. It appears Jason Isringhausen will pitch the 9th no matter what.
Saw Walt Jocketty just moments ago. He said, what do you think Philadelphia is feeling long about now? Yeah. Don't you think they're just thinking, oh man, one game
over 6 months.
Which one did we kick away that we should have had? And the playoffs this year with a very symmetric feel, I think, to them. We saw 6 of the 8 teams last year.
Yeah. Mabry. Now Albert does get to second base as John walks. You know what? When you're 0 for 16, you'll go to first base any way you can, and John Mabry is happy to be talking to Dave McKay for the first time in a while. The Cardinals have 2 on 1 out. Mark Grudzielanek, the batter.
To the point where I looked down there and he said, hi, my name's John Mabry. Who are you?
Probably. Grudzielanek right to the left fielder Ryan Friel for the second out. Folks, almost there, almost down to those final 3 outs. My mind keeps flashing back to things here at the ballpark. I remember my first day here in 1969 at the age of 16 as an usher. I think about Mike Bertani working for the Cardinals since 1957. 9 years at the old ballpark, all 40 here. Ticket man, stadium operations guy. I think about Jerry Risch. 40 years as a bat boy and clubhouse man. I think of Buddy Bates down in Florida, no longer with us here, but here in spirit, working down in Jupiter.
Just one of the great guys this franchise had, too, Buddy Bates. Hope he's watching today.
You know, Butch Yetkeman, clubhouse guy at the old ballpark and for a little bit here. Just amazing people. Saw Doc London this weekend, longtime Cardinal physician. Bob Bowman, the longtime trainer that kept so many of our guys on the field over the years.
Do you remember your first game? In this ballpark?
I remember the first game I saw. It was teen night. Upper deck right field. Bob Cuban and the Inmen were playing. You know, in World Series games. And oh, man.
Mine was 72. I'm up from Branson, Missouri with a group of great friends on a Key Club trip.
Yeah.
I don't know what Key Club is now, frankly. But I got to see Bob Gibson face Carl Morton of the Montreal Expos. It was cold and it was cloudy.
And you loved it.
And it was spectacular.
I'm thinking about Jack Buck, Bob Starr, another great radio man who's no longer with us. Colin Jarrett, longtime engineer producer next door at KMOX.
Albert's thinking about getting a good lead. I was just paying attention to Albert. He was halfway between second and third as he's trying to get a jump. Nobody's looking at him. So he wouldn't mind tacking on another run here.
Yeah, 2 on, 2 out, bottom of the 8th. Yadier Molina evidently doesn't want this game into the 9th inning for a while. He's fouled off a half dozen or so. For the Reds in the 9th, Austin Kearns, their cleanup man, then the catcher Javier Valentin, Edwin Encarnacion, and Jason Isringhausen, the assignment and the honor of pitching and hopefully getting the last 3 outs in the history of this ballpark regular season. Right side. Here we go. Some anticipation is growing. Win number 100, 3 outs away. Jim Edmonds. Does Tony La Russa have a sense of theater or what? Jim Edmonds will come out and play center field in the 9th inning. Good to see him out there. Jason Isringhausen will come on in his quest for the last 3 outs in the regular season history of Busch Stadium. So Taguchi has moved to left field. Jim Edmonds acknowledging the crowd.
Great job this season by Tony La Russa, and I think probably by acclamation the 2 top managers in the game are Tony and Bobby Cox, and year in and year out they just do terrific work and get their teams right where they need to be come October. 14 years in a row the Braves have won that division. I don't know that we'll ever see anything like that again.
And I've got to throw Joe Torre into that group.
Yep.
Pop fly right side. It's out of play.
Well, these fans really enjoyed that weekend in June when the Yankees and Joe Torre were here right after the Boston Red Sox. I don't think, Bob, anybody plans to leave too soon, do you? I think Highway 40 is a rather safe place right now.
0-2. Big post-game ceremonies coming up. Rick Horton, all the other Cardinals who played here that are here for the weekend have made their way downstairs. As soon as we're out of here, I will join them, and you and Don Bell will take over the postgame from the booth right here.
You did a wonderful job yesterday, Bob.
Thanks.
On the field talking to the All Busch Stadium team as they came out. That's you asked all of the players the kind of thrill it was for them. How about the kind of thrill it was for you?
Yeah, it was awesome. It was great. 2 more to go for number 100 as Austin Kearns is caught looking.
That's a good pitch. That's the nasty break that Jason needs this October. Good tight rotation on the slider.
Next batter, switch hitting catcher Javier Valentin. Ground ball right side. Albert with the backhand. 2 down.
How about this?
$50,434. And a breaking ball hit to third. Nunez across the diamond. Albert can't quite come up with it. And the game will go on for a few more seconds as the Cardinals make their third error of the day and their 100th error of the year.
Watch these kids. They thought that was the end of this ball game. Oh, nuts. Abe kind of backed up on it. And I know our good Cardinals fans realize the job he's done all season long at third with Scott Rowland injured for so many games. He's been terrific.
Here's the rookie, Chris Denorfia. The tying run is in the batter's box, but it's strike one. Out of play. 100 wins, 1 strike away.
And there's just something, Bob, about ending a game on a strikeout, you know?
I don't care how it ends right now. Flash bulbs popping on every pitch, hoping to capture that final moment. It's been an unbelievable 40 years. And the Cardinals cap it with a win, 7-5, and that's number 100.
Good to see Scott Rowland in uniform. He said yesterday to Bob Carpenter, I'll be there all October long.
First Major League homer for Chris Duncan on a day he will never forget. Brad Thompson gets the win. Clausen the loser. Isringhausen his 39th save. Rich Gould and Don Bell will take you the rest of the way. Folks, thanks for joining us on a wonderful day. And guess what? The Cardinals win number 100.
Cardinals baseball on WB11 is brought to you by Bud Light. Crisp, clean, yours. Buy Steak and Shake, real steak hamburgers and real milkshakes 24 hours a day. Steak and Shake, famous for steak burgers. Buy your Mid-America Chevy dealer. See your Mid-America Chevy dealer today. MidAmericaChevy.com. Buy Dobbs, your exclusive broadcast television tire dealer of Cardinals baseball. Buy your St. Louis area Toyota dealers. Visit them today or check them out at buytoyota.com. and by American, your headquarters for HDTV, selection, expertise, and the everyday low price. The Cardinals win 100 at Busch Stadium on a glorious day, 7-5 over the Reds. Much more to come.
The Jones.
The day started with a chuckle and ended with a cheer. Before the game, Tony La Russa calling his shot, fouling one off. Matt Morris tipping his cap to the Cardinals youth who one day hope to emulate him. Mike Shannon and Red Chandies have seen more baseball here than just about anybody. The fans dressed in red, and they watch Chris Duncan hit his first home run. His dad is so proud. What a day. 7-5 Cardinals. More from Busch Stadium in a minute.
This looks great.
Welcome back to Busch Stadium. Thanks for the memories. There are signs all over this glorious ballpark. The number now at 0. As the Cardinals have played their final regular season game, they went out a winner over the Cincinnati Reds. And the crowd continues to cheer here now, and they will for a good long while. With Don Bell, I'm Rich Gould. It has been a terrific 3-game series against the Reds, a 3-game sweep, Don. And I'll tell you what, getting to that 100 number is exactly what this ball club wanted to do.
Yeah, it looks good. It's the 4th time for Tony La Russa in his career, and this is exactly what these guys wanted to do. And it's just been a great, great weekend all around.
Now, this is your first go-round, really, with a team that's done this well. You were here last year. How about your impressions of Busch Stadium and your memories?
Well, first of all, I got to start with Jim Edmonds, of course, last year in the NLCS with his huge home run. There's so many memories to talk about here. I mean, when you get out in the dugout and you look out and you see the arches and you see the red stands and you see all that stuff, it makes you all nostalgic. You get all pumped up because you know what that means, winning baseball throughout all those years.
Bob Carpenter is on the field. Rick Horton will be introduced along with a number of players. Nobody is leaving Busch Stadium, and the Cardinals are getting sent to go ahead and put the exclamation point on this day and then get ready for the San Diego Padres in the playoffs, a game that will evidently be played at noon Tuesday. San Diego will finish their game up against the Dodgers. They will fly here. It's a team that hasn't done all that well this year, but nobody has in that division. So the Cardinals will be prohibitive favorites. Chris Carpenter will be the pitcher. In his last 4 starts, he wasn't very good. He wasn't overly sharp. He didn't win his 22nd game. That will be forgotten on Tuesday, Don.
Yeah, no doubt, because once you get into a postseason, it's a whole new deal. I mean, people talk about the pitching from last season, but you got to remember, Chris Carpenter wasn't there. So we'll see what he does here. Like you said, his last few starts haven't been very good, but who knows? This guy's capable of anything at this point.
We're talking great moments at Busch Stadium. Well, here's one for you. Chris Duncan just killed one in the 5th inning. Bang! A home run, and his father was very, very pleased, as you might imagine, in the dugout. How about that? Right now, we will take you down to John Hewlett. He's on the public address system. You have fun watching this.
Warnings. It could become in the cage. Manager Tony La Russa, he bunted a couple of balls, then he hit a line drive in the gap in right center. Everybody here went nuts. It was a fun moment on what promises to be a fun day.
Jeff Stumpon told me I had to use the word phenomenal in this show.
There you go.
I think it's going to be a phenomenal day out here at Busch Stadium, not only for the team, but for the fans in the city as well.
That's right. In the next hour, we're going to take a look back at the 10 most memorable moments in Busch Stadium history.
We will also take a look at the all-time Busch Stadium team that was chosen and announced yesterday.
And then we're going to replay the special tribute the other night to the 1985 Cardinals, the so-called Runnin' Redbirds.
And we could not get away without having Rich Gould fill us in on the Cardinals' World Series chances this year. But first, we go back in time to May 12, 1966, when Busch Stadium first opened to fans and Cardinals players. On that date, the home plate was lifted from the old Sportsman's Park. A helicopter brought it over here and placed it in this city's new $25 million ballpark, Busch Memorial Stadium. The Cardinals beat the Atlanta Braves that day 4-3 in a 12-inning inaugural game. 40 years later, Busch Stadium has hosted 6 World Series. The Cardinals won series in 1967 and 1982, but lost in 1968, 1985, 1987, and most recently last year to the Boston Red Sox.
And of course, everybody here is hoping for World Series number 7 and World Series victory number 3. There have been so many great moments in Busch Stadium history. How do you pick the best? Well, the Cardinals put it to a vote of you fans, and here they are, the top 10 moments in Busch Stadium history, the cream of the crop. Number 10 came during a dream year. 1998 was the season many feel Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa saved baseball. They matched home runs month after month until Big Mac finally pulled away. On September 27th, McGwire put his stamp on the record book with one final blast, number 70.
Number 70! How much more can you give us, Big Mac? Number 70!
Number 9 came from a man of quiet excellence. In his final season, Lou Brock kept piling up the hits. On August 13, 1979, he reached 3,000 against the Cubs, the team that had traded him to the Cardinals in 1968.
2-2 pitch. Breaking ball. Hit off the pitcher. To the third baseman. No play. Base hit. 3,000 for Lou Brock. Pandemonium.
Number 8 is fresh in fans' memories. Last October, future Hall of Famer Roger Clemens presented a formidable obstacle in Game 7 of the NLCS with the Astros. But the Cards prevailed on their way to their first World Series since 1987.
Swinging a ground ball to the second base. Womack has it. He throws. We're going to Boston, folks. We're going to Boston. The Cardinals are National League champions.
Number 7 also belongs to Lou Brock. On a September night in 1974, Brock stole his 105th base, beating the mark of 104 set 12 years earlier by Maury Wills. The Cards left fielder wound up with 118 that year and a career total of 938.
The pitch is a strike. The throw. He is there. He did it.
Number 6 was Game 6 in the great NLCS match with the Astros last year. Down 3-2, the Cards battled into extra innings until the 12th, when Jim Edmonds sent it to Game 7 with a dramatic walk-off rocket into the right field bullpen.
Swing a long one. We are going to game number 7, a game-winning home run.
Number 5 didn't involve a play, pitch, or hit. It was Jack Buck's poem, 6 days after 9/11, calling for us to all come together and for the game of baseball to continue.
As for me, the question has already been answered. Should we be here? Yes. Should we show others how to demonstrate our resolve? Yes, and we shall do it here this evening.
Number 4 came from the early days of Busch Stadium, Game 1 of the 1968 World Series, when a bullet-throwing Bob Gibson mowed down the Detroit Tigers with a record 17 strikeouts. Number 3 was a winner, a World Series winner. 1982, the last time the Cards won the World Series. Led by Smith, McGee, Porter, and Hernandez, the Cards wrapped up the title in the Brewers behind their shutdown reliever, Bruce Sutter.
A swing and a miss, and that's a winner. That's a winner. A World Series winner for the Cardinals.
For number 2, we go back to the summer of '98. On that September night against Sammy Sosa and the Cubs, Mark McGwire became the new home run champion. With number 62, McGwire pulled ahead of Roger Maris and a record that had stood for 37 years.
Down the left field line, is it enough? Gone! There it is! 62! Touch first, Mark. You are the new single-season home run king.
Number 1 recalls the work of the Wizard and the call by a legendary broadcaster. In Game 5 of the 1985 playoffs against the Dodgers, Ozzie Smith chose the bottom of the ninth to hit the first left-handed home run of his career. It won the game and sparked some famous words from Jack Buck.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy! It's a home run, and the Cardinals have won the game by the score of 3-2 on a home run by the Wizard.
Go crazy, folks. Go crazy. I love that call. Joining us now is Cardinals President Mark Lamping. those were 10 fantastic moments in Busch Stadium history. Give me your favorite moment. You got one?
Well, those were all great. I guess a couple that didn't make the list that I thought were very special. The night that Tommy Herr hit the grand slam and the seat cushions flew onto the field. And I thought Ozzie Smith's retirement day was a real special day.
And Bob Forsch had 2 no-hitters here.
Bob had two no-hitters. He's pitched more innings than any pitcher in the history of this ballpark and had more wins than anybody.
Yeah, fantastic achievements, wonderful moments.
Mark, you've had so many memories inside this ballpark. What was it like walking in here today, knowing how much this day means?
You know, this reminds me of during the height of the McGuire hysteria, when everybody got here so early, the crowd was just packed outside waiting to get in, and I've had a chance to walk around the ballpark a little bit. People taking pictures with their friends, you know, with their father, with their mother, with their kids. This is a real special day.
You know, you've got a team out here that is going for 100 wins today. You've got record attendance this year, a franchise record. You got a new ballpark going up right across the way. This has already been an incredible year.
It's been a tremendous year, and you know, the most important part of it is you know, what our fans have enabled the franchise to do. You know, anything that happens on the field is a result of the support, the legendary support, and in this year, the record-setting support we receive from our fans.
So we go into the World Series this year?
That'd be a great way to close this building, wouldn't it?
He doesn't want to jinx it, of course, but it sure looks like we're loaded for bear this year. We're all hoping.
Well, we'll see. I hope we have a lot more home games.
Well, it's a tribute to you and all the folks with the Cardinals, because it's been a great year already, no matter what happens.
Well, thank you guys, and the quality of the programming you've done around this last weekend is unmatched. Thank you very much.
It's been fun to do.
Thank you. Believe me,
Mark.
It's our pleasure. Thank you. That's Mark Lamping, the Cardinals president.
All right, well, stick with us. We have plenty more Busch Stadium memories to come and some neat stories ahead.
We'll be back. Welcome back to the Dairy Queen pregame show. There's Cardinal ace pitcher Jeff Suppan signing autographs for the fans, and I tell you, the fans were lined up outside this stadium.
I can't remember the last time I've seen fans run in the stadium as fast as they did today.
They were lined up outside about 10 o'clock, and the gates don't even open till I think it was 11:15.
Right.
And you look at the stands right now, they're filling up very quickly.
It's incredible. It's an incredible feel out here. There's such an energy in this place today. This is such a great family environment. Those diehard fans, Redbird fans, all of them are looking to take a little piece of Busch Stadium history. Well, the Cardinals organization is going to sell 12,000 of those signed seats from Busch Stadium as a memory you can keep in your house. Each seat comes with an authentic hologram sticker and tracking numbers. The Cardinals will have them just 3 weeks from the end of the team season to remove it. They'll have just 3 weeks to remove all those seats to get them out of here before the demolition begins. And speaking of all those Busch Stadium seats, we have some very lucky winners to announce today. Dairy Queen is giving away some of those seats in their Busch in Your Basement contest. Congratulations to Jim Cazzini of St. Louis, Renee Raid of Bland, Missouri, Rick Schultz of Collinsville, Illinois, and Diane Waller of Arnold, Missouri. They not only won autographed stadium seats, they won tickets to a future Cardinals game.
The envy of their neighborhoods. That's what they will be.
They certainly will be.
Well, as we say goodbye to this Busch Stadium, of course, as we talked about with Mark Lamping a little earlier, plans for the new stadium, of course, are well underway. The construction in full swing. It's scheduled to open on time, by the way, for the start of the 2006-2007 baseball season. Inside the new Busch Stadium, by the way, home plate is going to face southwest. So the majority of spectators will get dramatic views, not only of the St. Louis skyline, but the arch as well. The new facility will also include the ballpark village filled with retail offices, stores, entertainment, residential housing, and the Cardinals Museum. No less than Mike Shannon stopped by just a couple of minutes ago to say hello, and he, more than anyone, he got the first hit here, he knocked in the first run, he hit the first home run. He has said everybody's going to love that new stadium the second they get in there.
I love seeing the pictures right now of the new stadium ringing the old stadium. There are some great pictures. We are going to take you to a package now we put together last night. They announced the subject of much debate, the all-time Busch Stadium team.
This is fun. Take a look.
So many great ones have graced the diamond at Busch Stadium, but how in the world is it possible to combine all that greatness into one team?
Oh, you could pick 3 teams, 4 teams. The Cardinals are, been blessed with having so many great players come through here, and, it's nice to be honored as one of the team, but, it's kind of sad for some of the guys that weren't on the team.
Gibson's pitching dominance, Ozzy's flips, Edmonds' acrobatic catches to Brock's base running. Busch had a part in it all.
I didn't know they were keeping score, and neither did I know they were ranking, but certainly nice to know that you were in the top ranking. I don't know how they ranked it, but certainly...
Just to be nominated was certainly an honor, and to end up winning it was great.
Cardinal fans will take countless memories from Busch Stadium, memories made in large part by the guys standing on the field right now.
Picking 12 of the greatest Cardinals didn't come without any controversy, especially when one outfielder from the 1985 team was left off.
I knew that either Edmonds or McGee would make it. One of them wasn't going to make it. And actually, if I think if they just said name 3 outfielders, that Willie would have been on the team. And I'm not trying to knock Roger by any means.
Not to take anything away from Jim Edmonds, but I was surprised that Willie McGee didn't win the center field vote, because every time you mention Willie McGee here, the place goes crazy.
40 years of baseball at Busch, and these 12 are the best to ever play their position. Cardinal fans can only hope the next half-century is just as good as the last. At Busch Stadium, Telly Hughes, WB11 News.
Welcome back. Wow, I just love it out here.
This is great.
I can sit down here on the field all day. I don't think they'll let me.
Well, I think we might get hit by a couple of balls and/or the Clydesdales. We don't want to do that.
Well, stick with us. A freak accident, an infamous call, and some late-inning heroes.
It all happened during the 1985 season and World Series. Don Bell has more.
Just before Game 4, the automatic tart machine rolled over Vince Coleman's leg.
There was a freak accident, an infamous call, and late-inning heroics.
Smith corks one into right down the line. It may go. Go crazy, folks. Go crazy.
The 1985 Cardinals team was a classic one. The players themselves, legendary.
If I could be happy about any accomplishment to any team that I ever had managed, I got to be very, very happy about what the 85 Cardinals did.
This weekend, that team returns to Busch. They come back to soak up the love and celebrate the 20th anniversary of their World Series run.
We all became so close. We spent so much time together, and it's those funny moments that we shared in the clubhouse that are very, very special to us, and those are the type of things that we talk about now.
They got off to a slow start, but finished with 101 wins. They beat the Dodgers in the NLCS. They motored on to the World Series, but suffered an excruciating loss to the Kansas City Royals in 7 games. They showed exceptional resiliency through it all.
We scratched it out. We played like a son of a gun. I was picked to be fired, the first manager fired in '85 after we lost Suter. We were picked to finish in last place, and yet we went to the 7th game of the World Series.
Time waits for no one. It's absolutely relentless. So it's hard to believe that it's already been 2 decades since the '85 team dazzled millions. However, for many of these guys, the memories are almost as vivid as the games.
When you have a lot of great memories that Busch Stadium has produced over the last 20 years, it does go very fast. Sometimes you wonder, time gets by you, you think, God, did I actually do that? Did I play? And then we get together and see these, and it seems to bring everything up to speed.
Soon, the grand old stadium will be reduced to a giant pitching mound of rubble. But it's the memories and history of teams like the one in '85 that will forever link this Busch to the one next door.
I think we're all sad to see this place go, because there's some great memories made in here, and we're going to miss it. For us, though, they are going to have another ballpark. Think about the football players. Once this place is gone, they don't have any, they don't have a place where they can take their grandkids and say, hey, this is where I perform. But for us, we do have a new ballpark to look forward to.
For WB11 News, I'm Don Bell.
Boy, that 1985 team was fun to watch. And, you remember last night, Rick Hummel of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch told us he thinks, even though that team did not win the World Series, that may well be the best team that ever played here in Busch
I think
Stadium.
a lot of people would agree with them.
Terrific team. We got much more to come on the Dairy Queen pregame special.
Rich Gould and former Cardinals pitcher Scott Terry will join us to talk about today's game and, of course, the playoffs. So stay with us for today's Dairy Queen pregame show. Welcome back, everybody. Take a look at Brad Arteaga. He's a team photographer.
Hey, we know that guy.
We talked to him last night. He, his father, and his grandfather, where he's standing, have all photographed Busch Stadium over the years.
You know, he was telling us about that last night. I didn't even know, dumb me, I didn't even know it was possible to stand up there.
I didn't either.
It looks like it's slanted, you'd fall off.
It does, and he was saying all the hijinks he goes to climb up there, and he loves it. He says it never scares him, and he has some of the most amazing pictures he's taken from that vantage.
It looks very calm, cool, and collected up there. I guess he knows what he's doing.
I'll let him take that picture.
That's right.
Well, Busch Stadium has been a place filled with memories from all the fans, but that also goes for the people who work at Busch Stadium.
That's right, and many of them will keep their jobs when the team moves to the new ballpark, but that's not true of one longtime devotee who's been working the manual scoreboard in center field for a long time.
Many people complain about their jobs, but one St. Louisan considers himself very lucky.
Happy to be here, glad for the time that we had.
Pete Cooper has the job every baseball fan wants. He helps update the scoreboard at Busch Stadium. It's one of the few manual scoreboards still used in baseball.
It's really a great job for somebody that's a baseball fan because you're able to come here, you watch the games, and posting the scores. It's also the retro feel of it, too, that you're like, wow, this is really neat. This is something guys were doing back in the 20s, 30s, and 40s. So kind of the nostalgia of it is another great feature that, you know, you're like, there aren't that many people around doing this sort of thing.
While Pete says he's thankful for such a fun job, he's worked for quite a while to get where he is today.
I've been here 15 years. I started as an usher and worked my way up to an usher supervisor. And whenever this was opened in '97, I moved over here, and I've been here every game since.
The job allows for plenty of downtime to watch America's pastime, but there is some work involved.
Oh, it's very hard work. It's extremely hard work. There are about 12 of us that do it here, and we alternate. We'll have about 7 guys working a night. You know, 2 guys on the National League, 2 on the American, a supervisor keeping tabs on our laptop, see the scores that are coming across, and then a couple of us will work the Cardinal game. One guy will do the runs, hits, errors, and the other guy will do the inning scores.
Throughout his 15 years at Busch Stadium, Cooper says he's witnessed many memorable Cardinal moments and will definitely miss it.
Yeah, I'll definitely miss being down here, you know, and posting numbers and watching baseball from a unique perspective there, straightaway center field. But, you know, you move on, you adjust, and do what you got to do after that.
There are still a few home games to make more memories before Busch Stadium comes down. And Cooper says it would be sweet to end it with a Cardinals World Series win.
It wouldn't be too bad. You know, of course, I'd probably do like Larry Walker and try and hang around as long as I could, though, even if we did manage to do that.
Back there. They have a storage facility back
Sounds good. Now, while that new manual scoreboard will not move to the new Busch Stadium, Pete Cooper says he is hopeful he will keep a job at the new stadium doing some other type of job. Well, we were wondering what's going to happen to all those statues of Cardinals legends that ring this Busch Stadium.
Yeah, we're not just talking about the big one of Stan the Man. You've seen them, all the so-called little statues that ring the north side of the stadium. Dizzy Dean, Enos Slaughter, Lou Brock, you've seen them. Don Bell shows us what it's going to take to relocate all of them.
Stan the Man.
Stan the Man.
Stan the Man.
Every self-respecting Cardinals fan knows where to find the Stan Musial statue at Busch Stadium. I mean, how can you miss that huge hunking heap of bronze in Stadium Plaza? Since its unveiling 38 years ago, this has become the place to meet.
It's a big piece of the Cardinals' history memorialized there. Like I said, Gate 7, Stan statue, everybody knows where to go.
Like a bat and a ball, at this statue, history and nostalgia connect with the here and now. But with Busch Stadium about to bite the dust, we asked the question, could this be the man's last stand?
Well, Stan will go forevermore in the corner, essentially, of Spruce Street and 8th Street.
That's where the centerpiece of the new Busch Stadium is considered to be. It's where that bridge hangs high between two red brick towers.
I call it our Kodak moment because it's a real detailed architectural feature. There's a nice wide plaza there for people to meet. It's probably one of our main entrances, if not the main entrance. And, of course, we've carved out a great spot for Stan.
There are 10 other statues decorating the current stadium. Many of the greats are immortalized. Red, Gibby, and Ozzie, just to name a few. But unlike Stan, after the season, all of them will be stored before finding a new home in Ballpark Village come 2008.
Just north of Clark Street on the new site will be an area for the Cardinals experience. The statues will be right outside of that building in the Ballpark Village.
So the rest will have to wait a few years, and as for next season, it won't take long before Cardinals fans figure out where they'll meet once again. After all, the man still marks the spot. For WB11 News, I'm Don Bell.
That has been the signal cry of so many people meeting here at Busch Stadium.
You pick a statue?
Yeah, we're going to meet at Stan.
Right.
And all those statues are symbolic of how nicely this park has been retrofitted. Even during the 40 years when this started, this was a symmetrical ballpark. It had AstroTurf for a while. The present owners have done a wonderful job of turning this park around. The statues outside, the grass here, the signs, the scoreboard. I think this park looks better now than it ever has.
It does, and you have to give the owners credit. A lot of teams that wanted new ballparks were very apt to let the old ballparks deteriorate.
That's right.
And that never happened at the stadium. They took immaculate care of it, and that is a real testament to the team and this ownership.
That's right.
Well, stick with us. There is still so much to come on the Dairy Queen Cardinals pregame show. Up next, we are going to relive some of the most memorable moments in Busch Stadium history.
But first, this Busch fact.
Keep this place going because I haven't floated here in a few days, right? But it's phenomenal that the way this thing is.
Welcome back to Busch Stadium on the final regular season game played in this wonderful sports park. It's hard to believe.
And it's fitting, kind of. The Cardinals are shooting for win number 100 today. If they do that, they will, of course, won 105 last year. This would be the first Cardinal team since the 1940s to have back-to-back 100-win seasons.
It would be wonderful. It's been a wonderful team to watch these last 2 years.
It's been great.
Well, the next piece we're going to show you is one we hope you enjoy watching as much as we enjoyed putting it together.
It was a lot of fun. Here's a look back at 40 years of Busch Stadium.
It's just
Here's Norm Cash now. Once again, a standing ovation. A new World Series record.
It's an atmosphere for playing baseball that's unmatched. It's a repository of memories.
He is going. The pitch is a strike. The throw. He is there. He did it. 105 for LeBron.
It was kind of a landmark. It sat right there. It was lit up beautiful at night. I hate to see it go, I'll be honest with you.
I've seen so many people come into this ballpark and have so much fun. This has been a gathering place for a lot of people to have a lot of fun. And I'm talking about mothers and fathers, and I'm talking about aunts and uncles with the children. And it's been going on for 40 years, and it's just been fantastic.
Lomax dropping, got some time, steps up, launches the bomb deep down the right side for Roar. Touchdown!
One of the problems we had as football Cardinals, we always thought that maybe we were second fiddle to the baseball team.
There's so much history and tradition there. You felt, and you don't feel that a lot in a lot of ballparks, but you really felt the history of Stan Musial. You really feel Bob Gibson.
Suter from the belt to the plate. A swing and a miss, and that's a winner. That's a winner. A World Series winner for the Cardinals.
They made it feel more like a ballpark than a multi-purpose stadium. You know, it came along at the same time as Three Rivers and Riverfront and Veterans Stadium, and all those were kind of soulless cylinders. And Busch Stadium, when they went back to the natural grass and they added the scoreboard where you change the numbers by hand, and they put in the Hall of Famers and the World Championships and the busts of the Hall of Fame Cardinal players outside, and Jack Buck with his hand to his ear, and all those things, it added all those human touches. It gave it a human scale. And it doesn't feel like a multi-purpose stadium. It feels like a ballpark.
One of the great things about this game is the friendships and things that you develop along the way that last forever. And I have a lot of them.
Down the left field line. Is it enough? Gone! There it is! 62! Touch first, Mark. You are the new single-season home run king.
We have been challenged by a cowardly foe who strikes and then hides from our view. With one voice we say, we have no choice today. There is only one thing to do. Everyone is saying the same thing and praying that we end these senseless moments we are living. As our fathers did before, we shall win this unwanted war, and our children will enjoy the future we'll be giving.
What a blast that was. Little David Eckstein hitting the home run to win the game.
I think we have a few more on the highlight reel left in this season.
I think we do too. Everybody's hoping anyway.
Well, stick with us. There is a lot more to come today on the Cardinals pregame show brought to you by Dairy Queen.
Yeah, a trip to the ballpark turns into a learning experience for some St. Louis area kids. Their story and special teacher when we come back. But first, another Busch fact. Welcome back. The final regular season game at Busch Stadium. As you can see in that shot, the fans are gathering in Busch Stadium. Another sellout crowd. It's going to be a great day.
The field is ready. I don't think there's going to be an empty seat when the players take the field today. This place is packed. Well, Busch Stadium over the years has been the backdrop of many an educational program. Not only are reading, writing, and arithmetic part of the curriculum, Wayne Hagan helps out with a little broadcasting.
That's right. As WB11's Christine Buck reports, Redbird announcer Wayne Hagan got from behind the microphone to give some students a lesson of what it's like to be a pro.
The second annual Field of Opportunities workshop, hosted by Cardinal broadcaster Wayne Hagan, was in full swing the first week of August. Students write an essay about why they want to be a broadcaster. They do their homework by preparing for a broadcast in a Washington University computer lab.
If you see anything about Victor Santos, we need to read that because he's the starting pitcher tonight for the Brewers.
But the biggest thrill of the day is being on the field at Busch Stadium.
It's amazing to see like Albert Pujols this close. It's awesome.
Students take it all in as Hagan explains what's going on during pregame activities.
See the ball, hit the ball, and see the ball, hit the ball.
Hagan says he does this for the kids, and he loves watching them learn, and he loves giving them the experience of being on the field. But he said he also does this because he learns just as much from the kids.
There's positive out there, just like we tell them there's positive in the world for them, because they see the doom and gloom too, and that's probably one of these things that motivated me to do this.
One student says learning how to broadcast, as he calls it, Hagan's way, has inspired him.
We get to come out and actually see the pros and what they do and how good it is and see what Wayne Hagan does.
This workshop may be the breeding ground for future female play-by-play announcers.
You learn to be a broadcaster and what you might want to do in the future.
Do you think you want to be a broadcaster?
I might.
Why?
Because I think it would be fun talking to millions of people and you're affecting their lives.
Kids snap pictures of cameras taking pictures in what turned out to be a picture-perfect day for everyone. Christine Buck, WB11 News.
And if you haven't had the pleasure of meeting Wayne Hagan, believe me, he's a really good man. Almost 84 students, by the way, from about 60 area middle schools participated in the program, and Wayne Hagan is going to continue this program as the team moves into the new stadium. Well, the Dairy Queen Cardinals pregame show continues in just a minute.
But first, another Busch fact.
Oh.
Mark McGuire, Willie McGee, now Albert Pujols, there have been some great Cardinals.
Okay, well, Rich Gould has been loafing throughout this pregame show. Our intrepid reporter is in the dugout with Scott Terry. We're not going to cut to a break. We're going to go to you, Rich. What's going on, buddy?
You thought I was hiding, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
You thought I wasn't hiding. I was just relaxing with Scott Terry. What a weekend this has been, Scott.
It's been outstanding. I hope the Cardinal ownership gets their due for this because, boy, they've done a tremendous job and really done a great job with all the alumni as well.
And you got to visit with a number of players last night at the dinner. Wasn't that a grand event?
That was tremendous. I mean, I saw some guys that I haven't seen in years, and obviously they didn't recognize me because I lost a lot of my turf. But it was great to reminisce. It was great to see people and wives and kids, and it was a tremendous opportunity to catch up on some things, and we'll get to do it again during the game today.
Yeah, just a few minutes ago, Scott and I were talking about the ownership and the great job that they've done behind the scenes, and also about a feeling here at Busch Stadium that is just going to be difficult for us to ever recapture again. Now, this isn't the final game, obviously. The Cardinals are playing in October, but for many of the folks here, it will be their final game, and for them, it's emotional.
Yeah, it has a lot of value for them, and it's kind of closing a book, ending a chapter, however you want to term it, but it really does make a difference to a lot of people. It's important to them, and there's a lot of history here. A lot of people grew up with this ballpark, and sometimes it's hard to look forward because you're always looking behind.
Anybody you saw or talked to last night who you hadn't seen or talked to in a while and really enjoyed their company, Scott?
Yeah, one guy was John Denny, because I actually broke in with John Denny in Cincinnati in 1986, and John had already played here and left. So it was nice to see him. We had kind of some FCA ties while we were here in town, and it was good to see John and you know, several other people. Tim Jones, a guy that was less heralded, that played a lot of utility type roles back when I played, and to see his wife Becky, and they've got 3 sons. You know, it's tremendous to catch up.
Well, with all the fun here at Busch Stadium, let's not forget there's baseball to be played. And when we return, Scott and I will break down today's game. We'll also talk about the playoffs. Rick and Katie.
All right, Rich and Scott, thank you very much. The Dairy Queen pregame show continues in just a moment.
But first, another Busch fact.
The last regular season game at Busch Stadium. Look at that shot. Isn't that nice?
Gorgeous.
Amid all the festivities here, the Cardinals do have a game to play today, and they're going for win number 100.
Right. We have Rich Gould and Scott Terry standing by to talk about today's game and the playoffs.
100's a magical number, and I think the Cardinals are going to go get it today. They had to sweep the Reds. They knew that coming in. It's a ball club that doesn't want to share honors with the Chicago White Sox. That's the only other team that can win 99 games. They have to win today to do that. But something about that 100, it's a magic mark, isn't it, Scott?
Oh, yeah, it's tremendous. And you know, half of 100, 50 road wins, 50 home game wins, 50 wins within the division. So there's a lot of 50s and 100s going around, and to get triple digits obviously would be a tremendous feat for this club given their injuries.
Matt Morris is pitching today for the Cardinals. We hope and expect a good outing from him. We talked at length over the last couple of weeks if he was going to be the one who was going to be the odd man out. That's not the case, Scott. He is definitely in the rotation.
Yeah, and he needs to be in there given his experience and the history he has here in this ballpark, as well as the history that he has in the playoffs. He has the ability to go out and dominate a club and to shut them down. And I think today he'll come out and he'll keep it simple. He'll use the adrenaline of the activities that are going on around him, and he'll do a good job today, and he'll carry it on throughout the playoffs.
As we go, hopefully deep into October, what concerns do you have about this team?
I would think just a matter of making sure everybody stays healthy, making sure Reggie is where he needs to be as far as his batting eye goes, and of course starting pitching and relief. Good pitching always gets out good hitting, and so you only go as far as your pitching staff, and hopefully they'll get back into a groove and pitch the way they can.
I noticed that you talked to Ray King just a few moments ago. That's a guy that the Cardinals desperately need to step up.
Yes, it is, and you know, I had a simple thing to say to Ray, that I was praying for him and his dad.
Good.
My mom is going through cancer as well. She has a sinus tumor, and she's doing chemo and radiation. And real life does go beyond this ball game. And I just wanted to let him know that I was praying for him and his dad in that situation, and I hope everything works out for the best.
Very quickly, we got about 40 seconds. Playoff possibilities. If the Houston Astros win today, the Cardinals will play San Diego. Handicap that one for us.
Well, they're a sleeper. They've got Jake Peavy, who can dominate a game. If you saw him twice, then you hope they don't sneak a win in here at home. So they've got a good closer in Trevor Hoffman, and they got a lot of left-handed hitters. So that could be a little tougher than what most people think.
And in the American League, the Yankees clinched yesterday. We're still waiting to see the outcome between Boston and New York today, and also Cleveland and Chicago. Who do you like in the American League?
I like actually Boston and New York as much as I just soon one of them stay out of it. Obviously, New York's in, but Cleveland's a little young, and they're showing that wear and tear of inexperience. Well,
as we continue here pregame, they're going to usher us off the field very shortly. Before we go, let's take a look at the stadium connections in and around Busch Stadium.
This was the last landmark St. Louisans saw go up in smoke. Busch Stadium, like the arena, is more than just a venue for sports.
More than just baseball goes on inside of here. People build relationships, people develop relationships, people conduct personal and family rituals.
St. Louis University professor Bob Krisak collects stories about people and ballparks. He's interviewed fans in Comiskey Park and Texas Arlington stadiums when they were imploded. He's even presented his research in Cooperstown. He says, without a doubt, there are Redbird fans already going through withdrawals.
They want to touch, they want to smell, they want to see it one more time, they want to sit in their favorite seat.
Well, there aren't many women wearing white gloves to a game these days, or as many men in suits and ties. But there will always be dads taking videos to capture the moments with their kids at the park, like this one from the 60s.
That's my son. He was 7 years old at the time. Look at that.
Some memories are laced with sadness. Sons describe turbulent relationships with their dads, except when they were together at the ballpark.
My dad and I never really had any good times in our life except inside Comiskey Park. I want to take this brick home to remember my dad.
And some memories have nothing to do with the game going on inside the stadium. In 1990, when Comiskey Park was imploded, one man was seen going up to a wall. He kissed the wall. He walked back. He went back up to the wall and kissed it again. He did this 3 times, and that's when Professor Krisak asked him what's going on. And here's what he told him.
7 of us came here right before we shipped out to Vietnam, 7 friends, and 3 of my friends got killed over in Vietnam. So as I kiss the ballpark goodbye, I'm kissing goodbye to 3 friends that I saw for the last time inside this park.
Cardinal manager Tony La Russa says baseball is about families, mainly because people communicate during a game.
Raise your family, have your family teach the next family, the next one, and so you come to the ballpark, here's a great-grandfather, grandfather, father, son. I mean, it doesn't get better than that.
Some people were out in left field, learning how to quilt.
I had one daughter who said that they used to come on Ladies' Day, sit out in the bleachers, and they didn't mind that the games were slow because her mom taught her how to quilt while they were sitting at the game.
After the stadium is imploded, Krisak says people will linger because they'll have a hard time letting go.
They can't leave. They're compelled to stay emotionally, say one more goodbye, shed one more tear, drink one more beer, toast it one more time.
Perhaps this band says it best.
It's kind of like not being at home. This is kind of like home.
And as the saying goes, there's no place like home. Christine Buck, WB 11 News.
It's the Chrysler model year-end clearance.
Welcome back. The final regular season weekend at Busch Stadium is still far from over.
It's just starting, but the festivities will continue long after today's game. Take a look at the rundown. A few minutes after today's last out, Busch employees will bring the pennant numbers around into the infield.
And then former Cardinals will take their positions on the field where they played while on the team.
After that, 8 VIPs will be introduced to the crowd. Then they will take a seat behind home plate.
And the post-game ceremony will end with the Budweiser Clydesdales returning to Busch Stadium for the final time. They haven't visited the ballpark in 10 years.
Then following the ceremony, don't forget it is our Pizza Hut post-game show. Rich Gould and our Don Bell will recap the highlights of the game against the Cincinnati Reds and, of course, preview the Cardinals' playoff chances.
That's right. Once again, the Cardinals are shooting for win number 100 here at Busch Stadium. Commissioner Bud Selig is addressing the crowd right now, talking about hurricane disaster relief. This game is just minutes away from beginning.
Thank you for joining us. This has been our special coverage of the last day at Busch Stadium, the Cardinals pregame Gary Kuhn Show.
We have had a blast. We hope you've enjoyed it. We hope you enjoy the game. Now we're going to send it over to Bob Carpenter and Rick Horton. Enjoy, everyone.